Wonderful. There we go. We did it.
That felt good.
We did exactly what we needed to do to get things underway.
Was that HenryG's voice?
Yeah. Well, you already would have said his name so far.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Your boy's back.
That wasn't the introduction I felt like we were going to have prepared for you. It just you spoke before.
Well, it's a little underwhelming.
Yeah.
But here we are. Yes, it's me, HenryG.
What were you thinking, Jason? Because it feels like maybe you should have prepared something then if you wanted to have some form of an introduction.
I should have. I don't really know. I just, I figured there'd be a little bit more fanfare, like some trumpets. Maybe we can add that in post.
So are you hoping that Yanko and I picked up the slack there without any form of communication? Or did you hope that Henry had more of a grandiose entrance? I'm trying to pinpoint this.
I expected some kind of an introduction before he spoke, but when he spoke, it kind of, in my head, I was trying to come up with the way to really give him the thing he deserved,
The problem is when you've got such an iconic voice, it kind of gives up the game pretty quickly, right?
Yeah, that's true. You sound a lot like Hugo.
Here we are. Yeah, I know. That's what I've been working on. It's actually coming through like that.
Yeah, it's picking up. I like it.
Hugo B. Byron.
I guess the way we can introduce Henry as the funniest man in esports is back.
Used to be.
He's got to reclaim that crown.
I'm trying. I'm slowly but surely reclaiming some sort of territory in the game.
Who has it right now, would you say? Is it Rush?
I don't know. Yeah, it might be Rush. After I listened to last week's show and there's all that toilet talk you guys had, that was some top draw stuff. But I thought he particularly was shining in that episode.
He brought some good energy, though, didn't he?
He did. It was uplifting.
Yeah, so he sometimes comes as a bundle of fun. Sometimes he can be a bit more cynical. Really depends what you're talking about.
Oh, it was a bit of an ass last time. As far as I remember.
That's true. He did attack you. He was using you.
I heard that when he came to. Are you talking about the majorly verified thing?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Well, I mean,
that was rough.
Also, Henry, we've all been there. Other people trying to bring you down and point out maybe some of the misfortunes.
Yeah.
Just before we went live, Jason did it to you.
Did he really?
Yeah. I mean, you're trying to with the announcement is out. You're doing blast, right? It's just small beans for a guy like Jason.
I know. I was just.
Jason's a man who's done it all, I'm still trying to get my name back out there.
I was just interested to see if Henry was excited because I was trying to think back to the last time I saw him at a tier 1 event, and this morning I was thinking of it on the couch, and I was thinking it had to have been Katowice 2020, the COVID Katowice was the last live tier 1 event.
I've done a couple of pro leagues. Chad and I casted my comeback tour.
Yeah,
that's true. In Malta, live from the Mold Hotel, I believe it's.
That might have been the most compromised setup to come back after a 2-year hiatus ever. Doing. It's all going to be in the studio. It's going to be with another color commentator. And we're just going to see how it goes. That was actually fun, though. I think that was a good way to get back into it. But I've just done pro leagues and stuff like that. Jason.
I just wonder, Jason, do you do that often?
Do what?
Lay on the couch and think about Henry?
Yeah, okay.
I lay on the couch and think about other people sometimes. Yeah,
not always. Because you knew that we had him on the show today.
Yeah, and because I saw the talent announcement, it was a double whammy. Really, there was a lot of Henry being injected into my brain.
Banger of a talent announcement. Just me alone,
in a bubble,
into the void.
You're in a bubble.
Yeah. I should have put a better photo out there. If I realized it had just been about me, I'd have actually given a nice photo.
The way that they sold it though, they were someone who's worn my facial hair. That's what they gave as the clue. Do you
Did they?
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
I saw it because I was tagged in a tweet. I was like, what the fuck is this?
That's giving me some flashbacks already. The taste of your puby beard in my mouth.
Oh, those are great memories. I have that picture on my phone.
It's such coarse hair. I couldn't believe it. Why are your hairs on your face so thick?
It comes up on my photo frame once in a while, and it just makes me smile each and every time. It's a good laugh.
Oh, shit.
Iron files.
There it is. I've linked the tweet. So they've gone 4 groups talent reveal number 4. Clue 4. This person once wore a mustache of Spunj's facial hair for charity. I'm glad that they highlighted that it was for charity. You're doing it for a good cause. You weren't just doing it for fun.
You got 2 replies. 2 people said my name.
It wasn't facial hair. They got that part wrong.
What?
Okay. Well, That one.
He's tried a joke. Yeah, it hasn't landed.
I just threw it out there into the world. Thought I'd see what happened.
Hasn't landed. Yeah. Not all of them do.
Thanks,
Come on, man.
Thanks for your participation, though. It was fun.
Because I made the reference to pubes earlier, Chad. He was just kind of suggesting it was actually...
No, but it wasn't actually Chad's facial hair. It was from his legs. No,
that was done a couple of years
No, that was a
before,
different. That was a different November thing.
That was a different time. Henry wore someone else's hair.
Chad
you had a few of those,
legs.
didn't you?
That was pretty funny.
yeah,
We were
with
doing
the
some
wax
wild
legs.
stuff for that Movember thing, man.
We did the ice challenge. Me, Jason, OJ.
Oh,
was
the
it Pimp as well?
polar bear challenge. We jumped in.
Yeah, whatever the
Oh
fuck
yeah,
it
we
was.
did that. We jumped in like that river in Denmark.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so stupid. It was like an industrial. Well, it wasn't industrial. It was suburban.
Yeah,
it was
like
just
a
like
sewer
a
or
stupid
something.
body of water. It was strange. Why did we do that?
For charity.
For charity, I suppose. Yeah, that was. We would normally scramble the week before. Go right. We've got no stretch goals. We need to think of something interesting. And I think like, what was it? The ice bucket challenge was probably a thing back then.
Yeah,
And,
but we didn't want to
probably
get covered
combined
in a
the two
bucket of
ideas.
ice.
That was actually some of our most impressive work, considering we came up with that idea like the day before, and within 24 hours we had like 10 stretch goals, a graphic made, and we got ESL to let us execute all of it on that stage in Brazil.
Well, that's really just the power of Room on Fire, though, isn't it, Jason?
And Drop the Bomb. It was a joint collaboration.
And Drop the Bomb.
It was a collaboration.
They don't seem to get
Maybe even
enough
the
of a
only
shout-out
time
these
we ever
days.
collaborated.
The only time.
Yeah.
dear.
Drop the Bomb, Room on Fire, join. And it went fucking well. We should have joined forces earlier on.
And never did since, you know. So it was always like a Star Wars type
I
relationship.
think both brands sort of still live on. I still use the Drop the Bomb email. I think Anders still has Room on Fire in his thing. So we're kind of united in a way now.
Okay.
The good parts have remained.
Yeah, and merged as well. Here we have the union of Jackie Chanders and HenryG.
Ooh,
Yeah, who would have saw that coming? To be honest,
that wasn't on my bingo card.
More likely
No,
for a
not mine
Guardian
either.
appearance, if anything.
Yeah, like literally the only reason it happened was because we got thrown into an online broadcast together, and we were just fucking around so much that people loved it.
Brazy party, man.
We'll give this a go, I suppose. Yeah, the Brazy party.
Bringing
That was it.
people
That's like,
together.
honestly, the event of the year so far, if you ask me. I thought that was a banger.
Lots of money on the line and a win from Cloud9 as well.
True.
You don't get that too often. You guys casted a lot of rounds that tournament. That was funny.
Yeah, dude, I think it was like in like the 400s or something. It was mental. Every single game, I had to cast the final for you as well. That's right.
That's
You
right,
were
Jason.
supposed to come in.
My internet.
Jason was too busy to commentate the final, right? Which is fine. Like, I got a last minute call that Jason was in
Well, he's
the
a dad
blast
now.
offices
He's a dad
recording
now.
content. So
It's
I
not
had to
big
take
enough for
over.
Jason these days, you know.
Yeah, he just goes, Henry, do
Yeah.
you mind doing the final? Like, I've got to record content. You booked content on the same day as the final.
Wait, let's not paint a negative picture here because that's not how it went down.
Well, that was my intention. I'm not going to lie, but you can tell the real story. It's
No, I don't care.
There's
George.
always two sides
It
to a
wasn't,
coin,
it wasn't that bad.
Jason.
But you were recording content. At
I was,
Blast, correct?
but I was going to be casting it, but the Wi-Fi in the offices wouldn't connect to Discord and wouldn't connect to the vMix of the actual stream.
And then you tried on your phone as well.
I tried to
Jason.
hotspot my
Are you
phone.
proposing you're about to cast a grand final off your 3G? Is that what we're saying?
I was-
You're roaming 3G.
I was
Way
doing
better
what-
now, Jason.
I was doing whatever I could to deliver a high-end product, and sometimes the world just works against you in every way.
Man, you know the thing is as well, I was kind of like post-event celebrating, take from that what you will. Like I already got into the mode of the after party.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, you were.
I was merry. Let's just put it that
It
way.
probably-
Make it that cool.
Probably took
Like,
the
can you
edge
do
off.
the final?
Yeah.
Honestly, it was one of my better casts. So like I think there's something to it. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Perfect.
But jokes aside, I'm always happy to fill in for you, Jason. Wherever you find yourself strapped, I'm ready to jump in there. It's all good.
Thank you, sweetheart.
That's no. That was fill in for you, not fill you in.
Ah, nice. Wow, a lot of great jokes today, you guys. We're on fire.
Some bangers.
Well, you called him sweetheart. I was like, what the fuck? Come on, man.
I can't call him sweetheart?
Well, I don't know. Is that something? Do you,
Henry,
often,
how do you
Henry,
feel
does he
about
often call you sweetheart?
I like it.
Yeah.
I call everyone darling, so I can't talk.
Oh, okay. All right. No worries, honey.
But
Um,
I think that Movember thing, because it was Movember that we were doing it for, Alex had to get a Brazilian wax. I remember that.
Bro, I had to film that.
We had to go and film
I can
it.
imagine that. Like literally, I just
Imagine
stand
the
there
guy
just staring
editing.
at his cock for 2 hours. I think
It was.
I got used to it.
It was Phil from Big. It was the one who had to edit it, and I was like,
he had to edit it,
I was
yeah.
just like, you're going through this. I don't mean to do this to you, but can you just make sure that Alex's balls don't show up in any of these shots? Like, just really look out for a pair of testicles.
That was definitely the worst one. He wasn't really that involved in the movie. He kind of came in last minute. Like, I didn't think he did the one before. He came in for the second year, I think this was. And then he goes, we gave him that mental stretch goal. He started off like painting his nails, which turned out to be something he's actually quite into a couple years later.
Probably thanks to Movember.
So if anything, that probably inspired him. And then he had to get the full Brazilian. So they just did his like pubic area right, but the girl was proposing to do his asshole as well. I was like, that's too far. We can't do that to him. Even for charity, that seems like a stretch too far. So we didn't go that far, but watching a man get his entire region waxed is awful.
You think it's worse to get testicles waxed than your butthole waxed?
Dude, the butthole. Are we allowed to swear on this podcast? I'm not sure.
We're allowed to swear.
Is it fine?
Yeah, you could say, or you could use the
I know you got
technical
sponsored by
terminology.
Spotify at one point. I don't want to come in and just sabotage.
This is an audio on the episode. It's not Spotify exclusive.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
But even if it was,
I would say I think there's tens of thousands of nerve endings in the anus, Jason, which I thought you'd be aware of. To be honest.
True. I guess that's a logical way to look at it. I'm gonna contest the 10,000 nerve endings, but
I'm gonna Google it. I think it's maybe more.
Maybe more.
but Jason, I think
Can we get a consensus here? Do you guys all think the testicles would be worse to wax than the butthole? I think the testicles would be the.
Testicles are worse.
See, Henry?
He's saying that definitively, like Yanko knows if he had experience with wax at all.
Not really, but it's just a more sensitive area. The skin is thinner.
I don't think I agree with that.
Skin is thinner, so
It looks like battle kind of.
I suppose
scarred
it
that
depends.
area.
It depends on where in the anus region that we would be talking of the.
I'm on the
hair removal.
Wikipedia page of human anus right now. What is my life? Jesus.
Like I don't know.
Yeah, it's very graphic. They've just got HD images like on the homepage. Like I don't know what I expected, but yeah.
Well, it's meant to be educational, which is what you would hope that Jason was, Henry. You were saying that you'd expect Jason to have this type of information as a seasoned,
True,
a father as well.
Yeah, she's gonna listen to this one day.
Yeah. Well, hey, it'd be like a time capsule
go.
of where we were at in the year 2023. I thought the Jetsons would be a thing by now, but that's not to be the case. Okay, would you like to read this out for the class, Henry? Or
Yeah, I think
we should leave it there. I think the anus trip is taken us as far as it needs to go.
we were talking.
there was also,
yeah,
I don't know how painful that is, but I know for Jason, Creamy Moses V2 was pretty painful.
Bro, I got home because that was
a concussion.
Well, we didn't do an actual cream pie that time around. That was just whipped cream on a plate that had sat on the desk for 40 minutes. It was melted.
Like a tinfoil plate.
So it
There's
was
basically
literally
no padding.
It was Yanko's hand into a plate into melted whipped cream. So I mean, essentially, Yanko just punched me in the face
It
for
was so
sharing.
melted, bro. It was like this full liquid on a plate wobbling, and he just got walloped.
Because Yanko sat there and he's like, "Wow, if I go like slow and calculated with this, all the whipped cream is just gonna slide off. So I got to go, fast and hard." And that's exactly what he did. He punched me in the face with a plate.
Well, also, Creamy Moses is just such a legendary thing that has happened in that photo and everything. I had to try my best to live up to the...
To deliver.
To deliver, to live up
when
to
is
the hype.
When is the documentary coming out about that? Like the history, the etymology of the Creamy Moses career.
Netflix has reached out to me. We're in negotiations with a production studio, so we're trying to pick between a couple different studios.
Drop the bomb, room on fire.
Yeah, Newman sent in his resume for review. So have a couple of the people in the industry.
I was thinking back how long ago it was since the original Creamy Moses.
That was San Jose 2015. Yep, that was San Jose 2015.
What a time that was! Like really, I looked like an absolute baby in those photos. It's such a wild.
Yeah,
we need to do something for like the 10-year anniversary for it.
I think that's a good point, actually.
I don't know.
Jason,
Get all the gang back.
Yeah,
one last
you're
round.
right. I think the anniversary should be me getting to hit everyone else with a cream pie because this has just been brought up so much. I feel like I deserve some divine equality, some divine justice.
I'd like to.
We'll talk that out.
I'd like to refute that, Jason. How often do you hear me talking about the cream situation?
That's true. It's not as frequent.
You're gonna get one in the
To
face.
be fair,
for all
I'm the
format
artist
talk.
behind the original Creamy Moses. I put the cream pie on his face. I placed it.
You
there.
had
I
to,
created that.
I've never asked you, but you had to have enjoyed that so much. I was giving you so much shit for Source.
Dude, can you imagine? I've just beat you guys in a 3-on-3 and won like a laptop, and then I get to smash you in the face with a pie as well. Like that was one of the top 5 days of my life. Like the way the crowd is chanting, everyone's loving it, and like I'm some sort of hero in the arena. And then I get to create that photo as well. Like I got to indirectly almost ruin your life with how big it became. Like, Jesus, I felt so bad. As like the way I didn't like slam it in your face. I really like grabbed the back of your head and pushed it in there and smudged it in and made sure every crevice of your face was filled.
Yeah,
and that's how you create art. You take your time.
Yeah,
Jason, how much did that affect you and your growth as a man?
I think at one point, Jason, you were quite upset how far it was.
Well, after
There was a subreddit
after
for
a,
it.
yeah,
It was a subreddit, yes.
Anders made the subreddit. Of course he did. It was. I didn't care at the time. It was a year down the road when that was still a thing that was starting to get to me. But I've always thought of it. You want to know something? There's something real about it. I've always thought about it like, in a way, that was actually. This is just how random the career can be sometimes, because that was actually like a pretty significant event in terms of making my name known among the community, like widespread immediately. Right? Like everyone knew that fucking meme.
You didn't necessarily lean into it so much, though.
No, I didn't really want to lean into it. It was.
You at one point we were like talking about like, can we make a T-shirt or a vape juice or something like that would have been.
Yeah, we did talk about a vape
monetize
juice a
it.
lot. We did talk about a vape juice a lot, but the whole nicotine making a nice delicious flavor, that kind of creeped me out.
Yeah, I took the nicotine sponsorship and dropped the bomb. Didn't go down too well.
Sure.
I was vaping every episode, and people would just.
That was the funniest fucking thing in the world. Just massive clouds during a podcast. Hearing the vape noise.
I was like the best salesman for that podcast. I got 20 grand out of that guy, the vape people. So all I had to do was just use their vape juice and vape. Like they gave me 20 grand. I was like, of course I'll do it. Like I needed that money to even make the show work.
Yeah. Well,
I'm just looking. Just take a look what Yanko's put in TeamSpeak here.
Yeah.
So on the left is people are going to have to bring up a picture, or maybe
Look
we
at
can
that!
tweet it or
Look at
something.
that! Look at the work I put into that first photo. The kind of the pastry on the face. His eyelashes are covered in cream. It's perfect.
Can I just say though, if you look at the expressions here, so on the left is the HenryG more cakey cream pie experience here. But
Yanko's gone for the shaving
you
foam.
can see Jason's look on the face is a man who is acknowledging defeat. Okay. Right? Whereas on the right, it looks like Jason is holding in a lot of pain. It looks like he's
Yanko, again, can we go back to 10 seconds ago? Yanko punched me in the face. When I got back from...
Can we make this the caption of the podcast so people know?
When I
from the
got
episode,
back
they can just see it?
from that event, my dad just goes, I would have punched him right back. And I was like, well, we're on stage for charity. I can't get into a fucking fist fight.
Look at your ear as well. It's so
also
deep
your
in
little
your
bit,
ear. You've gone like deaf.
So
cream.
right after this happened, I had like a meeting scheduled later in that day with you guys remember Ken Hirschman? He was like the VP of HBO boxing, and he had just come on to ESL, and they had set me up with a meeting with him to have a conversation. And I walked off the stage to go wash off, and of course I run right into him, like the head of the HBO production now coming into esports, and I'm supposed to have a respectful meeting, and I'm covered in fucking melted whipped cream. I was like, hey, nice to meet you. I'm gonna go
And
wash
a nice
my
little
face.
mustache as well.
Yeah, and the Mario mustache.
Oh, the mustaches were a lot. They were aggressive.
They really were.
Jason's got the most
aggressive.
powerful mustache. of all
I had breakfast with Henry the next day after shaving that mustache, and we just like I looked up at one point, and he was just staring at me, laughing.
I think I couldn't even eat. I think we were both quite hungover. Just having to look you in the face with that mustache and a kind of hungover look on your face. It's just like the funniest thing to me at the time. I was like, Jason, just get that off your face. Like, it's not even worth it. Like, well, you need to get.
I
rid
did.
Of that.
I shaved it the next week because I had to go back to E-League and be on American television. I was like, I'm not wearing this fucking
that's
mustache
right.
on TV. I'm not wearing this mustache on TV.
I did it throughout the Asus ROG thing. So me jumping out of a plane for this Asus thing with this horrendous fucking mustache on my face. And mine was quite long because I had the beard. So I shaved the beard down into the
You
stash.
almost brought like a Fu Manchu into the situation.
It was a little bit too much.
Yeah.
And that's how I jumped out of a plane instead of, looking somewhat respectable. But there are people who pull off the mustache. I'm not.
Scrawny does a good job.
Yeah, that's true.
I literally can't grow one. I still have the 13-year-old mustache for some reason. I'm 35.
Yeah, well, it's not for everyone, you know.
No.
That's the moral of the story here, guys. It's not for everyone. Jason doesn't love cream pies anymore.
No.
Actually, I don't know if he ever did.
I don't.
Do you have cream pie on the 4th of July to celebrate your independence, Jason?
No.
Yeah, what are the O'Toole traditions? Can we talk through what the plan for the day is?
I'll be honest, we don't really. My family doesn't have any crazy traditions other than shooting fireworks. But I mean, I'm probably gonna make some bratwurst today on the grill, just for like an early dinner.
Typical American dish.
Yeah. Yeah, you know.
Are there
Celebrating
safety
the German
concerns?
culture.
Are there safety concerns not for the bratwurst but for the fireworks?
Absolutely, there are
We've
plenty
all
of safety
seen the
concerns.
videos. We've
You
all
need
seen
you need to practice safe firework execution for
Could
sure.
you talk through some safe firework etiquette?
Well, first of all, you got to make sure the sky is clear, right? Like the area around the firework, above it, no tree branches hanging over it, no dead
no
trees,
collisions.
dead leaves,
All right.
no fire hazards. Next to the fireworks, you want to have a solid foundation. So I'll be laying down about 6 to 8 cinder blocks in a square on my yard to make sure it's a flat surface with which to fire the fireworks.
Okay, a level platform.
Yep.
Important.
You don't want them tipping over after you've lit the fuse and pointing at the house. That's a bad time. And then we're gonna have a bucket of water next to it as well to douse all the used fireworks after they've been successfully launched. And then we're also going to have a hose ran out from the house to that point in the yard. So if there's any duds, we can hose them down from a safe distance and make sure that they will not be fired randomly.
Are you using a lighter or a wick?
All the fireworks have wicks on them, so we'll be using one of those like long grill lighters to light the wick.
Okay. He's thought of it all.
Yep.
Will there be earplugs provided, or do you have to bring your own?
We don't.
Earplug.
We don't.
I've not
we
heard
don't
of
use
earplugs with the
earplugs,
fireworks
no.
displayed.
It's
No?
not.
Okay,
It's not that kind
so-
of a situation.
Maybe for dogs. Maybe there's an invention.
Well, I just
for
thought,
dogs to
Henry,
kinda
there's a
cover their
newborn
ears.
baby around. I thought maybe.
The baby-
Okay,
the baby
yeah,
will
that's a
be-
good point.
the-
I didn't think about that.
The baby will be sleeping. The fireworks will probably be happening around 9:30 p.m. The baby is well asleep for about an hour at that point.
Okay.
Yep. My brother's.
How long do
kids-
babies sleep for?
Well,
Like a long time or not very much? Or?
at night she sleeps pretty much through the night. Now we're up to like 7-hour stretch, 6 to 7 hour stretches with maybe like one wake up for like half an hour that we have to deal
Okay.
with, and then but daytime naps are a little random, anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes all the way down to like an hour and a half is usually about what a daytime nap is.
Okay, so you're out of like the kind of the worst period of it all. It seems like you're getting some rest now.
Yeah, we're catching up on some sleep. It's good. It's not bad.
Okay. Well, there we go. With this, it's always interesting, especially like with Trace and Jason. It's like they have fucking kids.
Yeah, you get windows into the world. We're doing sleep training just now, which is where you try not to you let them fall asleep on their own. So that part, it's hard getting to sleep nowadays. There's a lot of screaming and a lot of crying because she's not getting the attention that she used to get because we're weaning her back so that she can sleep on her own. It's
Okay.
interesting. It's a weird world out there.
It's quite the cross section of human beings that we have right now. When you think about all of the different things going into our day. Henry was just on my balcony and we were going through different mice to see which mouse Henry might identify
Yeah, that's
with.
my main problem right now.
To talking about.
Which mouse am I going to use? For Facebook?
We're going through the Vaxi XE wireless. We've got the Razer Viper coming out to play as well. We were just going over different discussion points, talking about my mouse selection and
Well,
choices.
it's a pretty big moment, Chad. You changing mouse shape generally, or just changing to a premium brand.
Yeah.
It's quite rare. You've been sticking to your guns for years.
Yeah, and right now I would like to use this platform to make a plea to Logitech to create a 305 shape version that comes rechargeable as opposed to the changing of batteries. And people say you can change the
That's so
batteries,
archaic.
you can
You've
get
got, like,
rechargeable
AA
batteries. I don't want to hear that. I don't want that. I want a USB-C. I want something that has the quality build of a Superlight in a 305 shape. I think it's a shape that there's a lot of people out there, we're sleepers, but there are people who use this mouse. Now, that is the shape that I've been using for the entire time I've been playing Counter-Strike, all the way back to the MX300 when I was 13, 14 years of age. Okay,
Sure.
So that similar shape. I followed the lineage of all of that. Now, there have been deviations throughout the career. At one point before I just retired, when I was playing good Counter-Strike, so when I took down the Titan gentleman, I was on the 305 shape, right? And I changed to an FK2 because I was like, the 305 shape, it's not going to last. I figured I had to upgrade, just like we were having the conversation on the balcony, Henry. You know, like it's getting a bit archaic. I've got to shift away. So I was like, I'll go to something a bit more modern. And then after that, the FK2, it didn't stick. It wasn't my jam. You know, there's probably a lot of factors to me being shit, but I just didn't have a great experience with it. And then back to the 305 shape since then. And then recently, I've gotten this Razer Cobra Pro, which is very similar in size and shape, proportions, if you were, as the 305. So this is something, it's a bit more of a sturdy build. And what you were talking about, Henry, was the fucking custom mice I have. They're too flimsy. They're not wear and tear for a
3D
frag
printed.
fest.
It's a very cool concept they've come up with, like taking all the old mice and like re-engineering them with modern hardware. But the 3D printed technologies is not there yet. It's got too many imperfections. It feels flimsy. It's not quite there, I think.
It's not giving me what I need. Yanka, what mouse are you using at the moment, mate? What have you got your hands on?
It's the EC2B, I think. Zowie, the largest Zowie one, basically.
Not wireless though.
No, not wireless. I want to try out the wireless Zowie, but we don't have it in Serbia yet, so probably when we go to a tournament or something, I'll order one. But they're hard to get nowadays, no? Like they're usually out of stock. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But I want to switch to wireless because with this setup that I have at home, it would be just easier, more convenient.
The wireless tech is all the tech though these days, right? Like there's very few pro players still playing on like a wired mouse. I think everyone's on the wireless life, and I think the like Superlight, like I feel like that mouse has been one of the most popular that gets used by the pros, right? And then you have like a lot of the market's pretty like competitive at the moment, right? Like Razer are bringing out really quality products. I think that SteelSeries always have some good stuff. So there's a lot of like more niche products as well, but it is interesting, like playing a video game for so long, like thinking about a mouse is something that is just really commonplace for me, right? Like because it's like a tool I use every day. It's a tool I used to use when I was playing, and it was a big part of how I could play. And like most people probably don't think about their fucking mouse at all in a day. And here, like there's people who are looking at like I learned that, now I'm going to explain this super poorly, but that like all the mice, like let's say that I have 3 separate mice next to each other right now, and whatever, like they're all set to 800 DPI, but they're not all 800 DPI. Like there's a guy like did a video who like measured exactly like the movement of what it would be for 800 DPI, like the same units, and they were all different. Like I fucking learned that the other day about mice. That's fucking, why is that the case? Why do some mice have like acceleration built into them? Remember back in the day with some SteelSeries mice, it used to have like some negative XL built into it?
You needed to like get a driver to sort all that shit out.
Was it the Sensei, I think?
Sensei or the Zai. I think the Sensei. Yeah, Sensei was the silver one.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I think it was that one. I don't know, for me, like the most important thing are the clicks. I need the clicks to be, like firm.
Firm?
I need to, yeah. I like to really feel when I click. I guess
is shape important to you?
Yes, but I just like the Zowie EC ones, like it's similar to like a Death Adder shape. It's sort of curved.
Let me bring it up.
It's
this
curved
would be
a little bit, so it's like
ergonomic, right?
Yeah, I don't like those. I don't like small mice either.
Okay, so
small and light.
You like to feel the weight in your hand.
Yeah, exactly. I like to feel it in my hand, Jason.
And you're rocking more of like a palm grip then, I imagine. People talk about this shit. This was something I never thought about when I was playing. It's only something I've thought about like since. And like I sit and I look at the way that like I hold my mouse and stuff now, and you can actually get in your head about it. This is something I remember when I heard people talking about different grips when I was playing. It was like, and then I started to look at my grip and I was like, well, have I been gripping the mouse correctly?
Yeah, but it's just like kind of preference, isn't it? Like, has there ever been anyone who's been able to make an argument why one grip is actually better than another grip?
Well, I don't know how we would measure that, but I think something that is key though is we all know, and we've all played with different people who have different keyboard positions, right?
Yeah.
I played with guys who would have their keyboard at 90 degrees, right? Like, and I don't mean 90 degrees like horizontally with the table. I mean vertically with the table, and we have people who would all have different setups like that. But it's just one of those things when people talk about it. you can overthink it, right? Like, is there, because it's like anything, is there a better way to do it? And I think when you're learning something like Counter-Strike, there's a part of it that needs to be feel, right? So like what feels natural to you, but you have people who have the fucking crazy key bindings, like the Mezzis and the Fashers, who have these fucking really strange key bindings, and their brain puts the game together with those strokes and movements. Whereas like, I guess most of us have pretty similar stuff. Like Henry, I think, is a different example because his sensitivity is like giga fucking low. Like Henry's getting a workout every time he moves his mouse.
You do have a really tough sensitivity to just sit down and have a good time.
Yeah, there was only ever one pro who had the same sense as me. That was like Scream's brother, Navera. He had the same like 0.5 800 DPI.
You're just moving your arm so much, but at least, I guess at least you're staying focused.
I'm too old to work that much to, you know.
I've always, like, ever since I was like 14, I've always used that crazy low sense. And for better or for worse, I've stuck with it. It just feels the most comfortable.
Okay.
But when we play games, Henry, it's like good for you in like clutch situations where you know the angle they're coming from. Like you always win that fight.
Yeah.
Because your crosshair's not fucking whipping all over the place. Like it's always quite steady. Like,
yeah, when it's quiet, like 10 like 1vx situations, that's when it really does shine. But mid-round can be a bit chaotic, especially on T side. I try to turn from flashes. I guess that's the worst part.
Yeah, you're not an entry fragger.
No, definitely not. Especially like if you're coming out nuke, trying to look at hut above you, like just can't do that.
Actually, that right there is fucked. That's where you want to have like a DPI switch, right? Like if you're going in first, just it's not going to be accurate, but at least you can swing the fucking mouse around.
Yeah, coming out hut is just not an option. So you just have to be the third in the back.
So remember that if you run into Henry in matchmaking on nuke, he'll be coming out squeaky door every single time.
I'll be holding the lobby for the push.
But we actually played some CS2 nuke matchmaking the other day. Yanko, you joined us, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We played a little bit. It was dog shit because the opponents were all bad and we just rolled over them.
Why is everyone on CS2 trash?
I don't know.
It's either
it's
like you
rare.
play against current pros, or just everyone's shit.
I just think that's because they haven't given out like a lot of access, right? Like, but there is quite a disparity. I think that's something that I learned when I play the more matchmaking stuff, and like CS2 is a better reason to do that. And you get to see like the real disparity in some of the people who play. And I guess that's it. Like we are so focused in our bubble of a high level of Counter-Strike understanding because we've been, well, all of us here played like Counter-Strike at like the obsessive level, right? We all played it at the obsessive level where we were part of teams and you know, it was our every day for fucking 16 hours like that and it was a big part of our like teenage years and growing up. And we know what like scrimming is and doing dry runs with our team and all that kind of stuff. And then you go and you play a matchmaking game and you see it's just some fucking guy who goes, oh, Counter-Strike's cool, and then just loaded it up. And like, I feel the game now, the way that people, it's better, it's more accessible, but it's less social, like, and it's less like, you know, learning off of other people. We had so much of that in the early days. Like I don't know if it was easy to find like mentors or whatever, but you knew who the people in the community were.
Playing with people that are better.
Well,
and like, taking their fundamentals was a big part of it.
And also, like back in the day, we didn't have all like the resources there are now. Like there was no like aim bots. So I mean, if you wanted to just practice your aim, no YouTube, no Reddit. So if you just wanted to practice, you just hit up a teammate and you guys hop on Dust 2 and just fight in mid, you know, for 2 hours straight or something like that. Or you know, your teammates hop in or you play AMAP USP and that's about the extent of it. And you just kind of pick things up through conversation and through just repetition at that point.
It is wild, like how many times, you know, you wouldn't be able to get a scrim and you'd just sit there and we all had our niche maps. Like for Jason, you always mention AMAP USP, right?
Yeah,
like that's one that I think sticks out for you.
I love that map too.
We played a lot of like mini Dust. It was just like you could buy guns, but it was a nice little quick fighting map, right? Like I guess essentially a wingman map was what it would be compared to today. And we played like a lot of that. We played like a lot of like AWP Dust and stuff, but you could play it with there was this really fun mod we used to play. It was the Warcraft 3 hook mod in 1.6. And with the hook mod, it was great. Like you'd bind like E to hook and you'd like hook
people
like a certain distance away. No. You'd hook to it, right? So you were so mobile.
Okay, this is like this.
Like a grappling.
This is like the Spider-Man mod. Or
yeah.
X-Men mod.
And it was like really cool on maps like Rats and stuff, and where you could be, I think it was the Night Elf, and you could go invisible and shit.
Yeah, Warcraft 3 mod.
The
the Orc Grenade did like 300 damage.
Yeah, that on like Dust 1. I remember you'd play it on Dust 1. People would always just nade into those fucking tunnels and just get shitloads of frags. There was just so much, like it felt like Counter-Strike had a lot more, well, I guess we would find what we wanted to play as well. I think now there's like a higher expectation that the game gives you what's available. But a lot of the stuff we played was just mods that were on servers. So, and it was word of mouth that you'd hear about it or you'd stumble across it just searching through servers and shit. I look sometimes, like I see there's like clutch mods and stuff now, like, you know, retake servers or execute servers. Now there's like clutch mods that puts people in like 1-on-3 situations and shit. People still making stuff.
Yeah, it gets out there a little bit, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, look, gentlemen, I don't know where we want to go with today's conversation. I know that Yanko probably wants to talk about the Brazilians a little bit. he loves a bit of Furia. I think is Art your version of Maui's Nafani?
No, I wouldn't say that. Like, I think also you could see that Furia was trying to change their playstyle, but it was too late, you know. And you could see how uncomfortable everyone looked on that team trying to do that. The problem I have with the way Furia handled these changes and everything is basically why I wrote on Twitter like a day late and $1 short. First, you know, if you wanted to get Fallen, you should have probably gotten him like
Before
when
Imperial.
he went to Imperial, right? Like
Yeah.
he should have gone to Fury instead of Imperial, or even to like Team Liquid. You know, like you should have gotten him way back when he was also a little bit younger in some sense, but also not waste as much time, right? And the second thing is, it's like, okay, you're bringing in Fallen, you're bringing in Cello, safe and drop her out. They probably would have been out anyway. And then it's like, why not make the full change and replace Art as well? Like, are you telling me you can't find an aggressive rifler in Brazil, or like you don't have money to spend after having to cash out a lot for Fallen and Cello as well, I assume, right? So it's just, you look at the in-game leader and the coach are the two guys who set up the game of the team and in a way the identity of how they want to play, right? And you're bringing in Fallen now because you want to play differently, and obviously he's going to be the in-game leader, but you still have the two people there who are the most responsible for the way Furia has been playing for the majority of the time, and you have a player in Art who just has a certain way of playing the game that he cannot play in a much different way.
This is what I wanted to ask there, Yanko, right? Because when we're looking at this, I was thinking about this this morning, actually. With the Fallen way of playing, how are we gonna? Is it gonna be like Imperial, right? Because this is the question. What is the in-game leading style gonna be like? Is he gonna bring a lot of what he did with the Imperial boys, but he has more firepower in Furia, right? He's got Quesarado, who is the best Brazilian player and one of the best riflers in the world right now. Like Yuri's not too shabby at all, a very solid rifler in the team. I assume Art's still going to be used aggressively. Maybe Fallen wants to try and use him in the same way he would like a Fur, right? And I know that's quite a bold comparison to make, but in terms of making
Art
chaos
is nowhere
and stuff,
close to Fur.
no, he's
like,
not.
let's
He's
just
not
put
going to
that
have the
out
same
there.
multi-kill potential. But in that kind of piece,
it's a disjustice to Fur to put him down to that and like compare him to that. Not an injustice. I've had Fur as my player, and like Fur is a complete.
But this is what I'm asking. Like, what type of style do you think they would
whatever
run?
Art is. The problem is very simple. It's like you have the two guys there who obviously in their core they believe some things about how the game should be played, right? And Fallen is a nice guy. Like, I know him, Jason knows him, like for having him on the team, right? Like, I just hope that in this team he pushes his way if he has to, right? Because sometimes like he would be too open to other people's opinions and he wants to make everyone happy. It's like, fuck that. This is probably your last, team when it comes to competing on a tier 1 level. Like, do things your way. I don't know if, how Art is still on this team, honestly. I just don't know. I don't know. Like,
Is it a core 3
He's
type
been with them for
rule
so
going on with
long, so I
any
guess they
event?
want to give him one last chance. For me, it's silly when you're making such a big change and you're removing him from the captain role. Why keep him on the team? Just let him go somewhere else. Like, he should go somewhere else and find players that want to follow him and that he can maybe lead to whatever, and Gary too. I don't know about him, man. Like, he's a cool guy, but it's like, who takes responsibility for what Furia has been doing the last 3 years? It's not safe and drop who were the issue. sure, they maybe didn't help too much, but do you guys also get this feeling where it's like whoever comes to Furia, right, just sort of sinks, like whichever player you get, he performs worse there in that environment with that play style. Like, I don't know if that's what the exact reason for that is or how true that is, but for me, it's remove Art as well, get another young, aggressive rifler. You could have even tried to get Vinny too, if you're looking for someone to be like a sort of a glue guy, and he used to play with Yuri and Serato too. Like I thought that would be a good idea, but
I mean, for me, it's nothing to do with the play style. I don't know why you'd keep Art and have that kind of like you now have like 2 leaders on the team.
Yeah.
Like, what if, like, having that, like, to the 2 guys that, I mean, Art, who's obviously done it for years, and now Fallen comes in. What if, like, one day someone gets frustrated with, like, not quite feeling as clean and comfortable with Fallen, and is just like, I want to go back to Art style. Like, why even have the potential for that back and forth and that split leadership?
But isn't this what we want to do? Like, so it's easy to see, like, what would make sense, but there's a reason that with the decision they made, right?
I bet it has to do with money. To be honest with you, what Fallen was 750,000, I think the article said, and that's not including including the New York advertisements.
But I think Chad made a good point. Like bringing in Fallen, we were talking about it this morning, but bringing in Fallen and his brand, what it does for the organization,
oh yeah, it's huge,
is pretty massive as well. So like, I felt like I had the same thoughts as like that seems like way
it's
too much to play that old, but it's mental. That's like a S tier CS:GO player. But yeah, it kind of makes sense with the viewership and brand deals he could bring in for the organization. It does kind of make sense. You can't really poke holes in her.
No,
I wonder how long it's going to last, though.
Yeah, the weird
right?
thing.
Like how many years do you get out of him?
Well, they have him through 25, I think, right? So they have a year and a half. Maybe. Well, I don't know if it's through 25 or ends at the start of 25.
Seems like an insane amount of money,
especially with
for a year and a half, doesn't it?
Well, for like CS2 coming out too is the other one where I look at and I just say this is crazy. I imagine it's a 2-year contract, so like mid 2025 is when they have him too. But I mean, I feel like CS2 is there's gonna just be so many of the older players are just gonna get pushed out over the first year. Like it's just gonna happen.
Yeah, they'll all come back though for the original 6 months. Like it would be like everyone will be coming out the woodwork for a tournament or 2.
Sure.
And then they'll get phased out.
Yeah.
But you're right.
Well, we've been here before, haven't we? Like we've been through a couple of these cycles now. It's interesting to see, but I'm curious with like the Fallen as the leader of the team, how they're going to approach the game, and if that means it's going to have to change the way that like the Keseratos and the Yuris have to approach the game, right? Or if they get to keep doing what they're doing, it's just the rest of the team that he looks to change and restructure a bit, and then that's where Yanko's point comes into play.
Well,
like how, yeah.
I think they love playing for him and with him. Like that style just requires good players. It requires players. It requires you to have good firepower and players who can execute and that are calm. In crunch time, right, late round and all of that stuff. And I think Furia has that. It's just if you
they don't get to exploit it currently.
It's just you're making such a big change. Do it all the way. Like you're trying to change your identity. You're trying to change the way you play. Why leave all this baggage on the team? Like it can just create unnecessary friction down the line, because now you have a guy is coming in to lead your team and sort of take you to that next level, but the changes, like he's in the minority. Like the previous captain and the coach are still on the team. Sure, everyone's...
Yeah, but
sure, of course, the conversations were had, and they're open to having him, and they're going to change, and Art is just going to play, and Gary's going to support Fallen. Sure, that's the plan, right? But what if things go south, right? What if...
Like, Yanko, your assumption here is that nothing changes in the way that they approach the game, and that the 2 biggest people who have influence are Gary and Art, and they still get to...
No, I'm not assuming that. I think they are going to change the way they play. Fallen is going to put his philosophy in and his system, structure, style, all of that stuff. It's just he might, at some point, unnecessarily, I don't want to say hit a wall, but run into obstacles, right? And make things might be more difficult for him to do that than they need to be, right? And there might be doubt, creeping in early on, which is not supposed to happen ever, right? It just
I don't
feels
know. I
there-
feel
there
like
could be
he's going to
this-
have Kei Serrato on his side like immediately, right? Like I feel like the way the
He's gonna
respect
have both
structures.
Serrato and Yuri on his side immediately.
Yeah, but that's it. That's all you need. Like the team is essentially those three
No,
right
but
there,
just
right?
give me a reason why he's still on the team.
Well, I
Like,
don't know. Maybe
give me
there's a
reason
core.
why not
Maybe
make
there's
that
a core
change.
3 rule with something.
No, I
that
checked
we
that.
Fucking,
No, so
there's no core 3 rule.
So the rule is like it's basically it's arbitrary. If it's not a partner team, but with the changes that Furia made, they wouldn't have lost any spots. You know, they would have still played at the tournaments that they're playing in.
Does it affect like the major ranking points or anything like that?
I mean, but with this far out, I don't think it affects anything significantly in that sense.
Only thing I could think of is if it pushed him back to like the online qualifiers or something instead
Yeah,
of.
as opposed to just getting invited.
Yeah, but
straight
they're
to
already
the
they're already in
closed.
Cologne and Pro League, and then after that they have to play. Are they? They're not the Blast team, so they
No, they're
have
not a
to,
Blast team.
So they have to play the showdown anyway, and then it's Sydney. By that point, they would have either gathered or not enough points from other competitions, you know. So I don't think that I thought about that as well. It's like, oh, maybe you need to keep 3 players, but that wasn't the case either. Or at
So then
least,
there's
like,
a
let's
couple
follow-
things
At
that-
least bring a different coach. You know, I mean, again, I'm just speculating here. Maybe Gary and Fallen get along really well, and you know, whatever. But it just
I think
feels
the point
it's
is
so
seeing it
awkward.
that-
It's like, you know, you're moving in like with your girlfriend, and her ex is still living there in a separate room. You know,
Something had to happen here, right?
Yeko loves girlfriend. He
They're
loves
good
girlfriend
analogies.
comparisons.
it's
Yeah.
You get what I mean? It's like it's just it's so awkward. It's you know.
But something had to happen here, right? Like there has to be some loyalty being shown somewhere.
But surely, like,
But was,
the
has he
likes of ours
not
been
given
humbled,
enough?
right?
Has he not received enough leeway?
Well, but that's not the conversation, Yanko. We're not that like you're doing it from a pundit perspective. I'm asking the question from when they're having the chat in the office and the fucking owners are talking about it. They're the ones who are essentially deciding what happens here, right? So between them, there's some conversation that's going on as to why they're keeping Art. That's what I'm trying to get to the bottom of. That's what I want to speculate. I don't want to question should they get rid of him. I think there's probably a good consensus and a good feeling from most people out there that it doesn't make sense that they're keeping him when they're bringing Fallen into the team. Right? It should have freed up more good pieces to come in that we've seen. But the conversation is why have they kept him? And how are they going to use him? Because that's what we need to speculate now. Because we can sit here and we can say, yeah, like it's going to cause potential friction here. But why have they said, why have they kept him?
That's a secondary thing. First thing is he's not a good enough player individually.
But this here, I will give him, right? Like, you don't have to agree with this. That's fine. But I will give him the leeway. I can imagine how the conversation, this is what we're trying to speculate, right? I can imagine the conversation going down like, okay, yeah, you're not in-game leading anymore, okay? But we can still use you as an aggressive rifler.
Tip of the spear.
You know, and he's probably out there pleading his case. He's like, yeah,
Secondary
okay, well, I'm just
AWPer.
focusing on I'm fragging a bit more. I could do the secondary AWPing for the team. I can help with mid-round calling to help Fallen out. You know, we'll play his style, his structure, but I can assist and be that second voice. That would be him either selling himself or being sold, right? That's what I can see going on here, and that's how I'm thinking they would make the most of him. They obviously believe in that. I don't know why. Right? I want to build a Brazilian super team. Maybe there's not enough money, like Jason was saying, like to buy more players.
Promote a fucking academy. At that point, it's like
They already are, aren't they?
no,
To fill up the final spot, aren't they
Cello.
promoting it?
it's cello.
Cello as well, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. What was I reading about an academy player?
it was supposed
it
to
was
be that-
Pain. That was Pain I was reading
Yeah,
about.
but it was all.
fucking
I
hell.
think initially they were supposed to get like a academy player promoted or something like that. But you know, at that point, like that one guy, as long as he's not shitting the bed absolutely, you know, that would be fine. It's just
I don't know. I want
both
to bring
sides
someone in
would have
with
been
some
better
balls,
off.
man.
It feels like if they just parted ways. Now you know, Art is going to have to make accommodations and become something that he really isn't. He's an all-out aggressor, just like doing whatever he wants, right? Like, and if you're making, and he can be good at that under the right circumstance, right? Like he can have good impact with that, but you make him do it differently, he's going to be uncomfortable, and I doubt that he's going to be able to put out the same sort of result, which wasn't great to begin with. So why are you making all this, you know, just whatever. And that conversation between the owners, Chad, should be: do we want to fucking win some games? Like, do we want to win a trophy finally? Like, we're spending 700 fucking thousand to bring Fallen in, right? We have Cerrado, who's like playing peak Counter-Strike the last 2-3 years. We have Yuri. We're bringing in Cello too. Is like, yeah, well, how about this guy? Well, he's been with us a long time.
I can't wait to see the Draft 5 article, like where it misquotes us because they're listening to it, trying to translate.
I think
Yanko's going to be quoted, big headline here.
It's gonna be he's gonna bring all the clicks. I guess for me, I don't know. The Fallen thing is kind of, not to get away from it even further, but the main question. But I don't know. Like for me, it'd be like they better have had like a real conversation with Fallen about his motivation and how much he's gonna be. I know he's a dedicated guy, but remember he's had like, for the past year and a half, he said all these things about retirement. Like he was saying he wanted to retire in 2023. He was saying maybe he wants to go back and coach, a young Brazilian team and bring up the next generation. Maybe he wants to be a streamer. He said at one point that he wants to join like a team in North America to be able to stay at home a little bit more. So it's just like, I don't know. I feel like this whole. If I'm Furia, I'd be really worried. They better have some concrete, like, you're going to be a champion for us. And I think he's going to be fine in that sense because he was so good about that when he joined Liquid. Like the situations that he had to play in during COVID to come to boot camps and everything was fucking wild. And he handled it all like a champ. But that conversation just would make me really nervous about signing him if, he's saying that he wanted to retire originally this year. And now you have him for 2 more years.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if Fallen's the type of guy who'd get bought out for 750 grand. He also said not that long ago that he would try and be in Europe more, right? Like to do with Counter-Strike.
Yeah, I said he'd be willing to, but that's the point. Is you have like two different conversations coming out of the Fallen camp where I'm sure they had the conversation with him, but that's what would make me the most nervous about this pickup. Would be his like the fight of thinking about retirement this year and then now signing through 2025.
Yeah.
I think Furia also have a villa in Malta, Chad, just so you know.
Yeah, they have got a place here.
Yeah.
So I guess, in terms of the European thing, at least they'll be in Europe for somewhat of the year.
Yeah, they'd be just down the road.
They were saying that Malta in the summer is the closest to Brazilian weather, and they wanted to try and match that vibe from home, which is why they selected Malta.
Bless.
Pretty warm out there right now.
Yeah.
What are we talking? It's a bit windy at the moment, actually. The last couple of days have had a bit of a breeze to them, but it's 30 degrees right now, currently. Feels like 31. What else are we looking at? But you look at the 10-day forecast. You've got 32, 32, 32, 33, 32, 33, 32, 32, and 32 with minimums of 23 to 24 degrees. Jason, do you want that in freedom units?
No, that's great. That all sounds like fantastic boat weather, actually.
Yeah, no clouds in the sky. Absolutely not a single cloud in the sky in any of these days right here, which is phenomenal. Which is exactly what you'd be looking for.
You start your day with a dip in the sea, Chad?
The last couple of days I haven't because it's been a bit windy.
Sure.
But I have been getting out and about. I've been walking, trying to get in 10,000 steps a day.
Seeing the sights.
Well, not really. No, there's no. There's sights, but I'm not going to. I haven't seen the Giants, Jason. I'm waiting for you to get here before we go visit the Giants.
Oh, we're doing the day trip to the Giants?
Yeah, I think we'll visit the Giants during Pro League.
Perfect. Nice.
We'll do
it's in Goza, right?
Yeah, and I think one of us should be tasked with having to learn everything they can about the Giants, and then they could.
There's a documentary on Netflix about those ones in Malta.
Okay.
It's ancient civilizations. If you look on the Netflix episode, there's one on Malta.
Okay, so we could look it up. We could learn a little bit here, and then
I have no clue what this is in Malta. I've never heard this before. The Giants.
Oh, so basically, there's do you know like Stonehenge in the UK?
Yeah,
you're right.
I do.
There's a similar sort of site in Malta, which allegedly it was the home to these ancient giants that inhabited Malta 4,000 years ago, I believe it was. Depending on who you talk to, they're either angels sent down from heaven or they're aliens in general. And they found skulls, like elongated skulls on the sites where these huge beds are that look like slabs of Stonehenge where the giants would sleep, presumably. And they found these elongated skulls that weren't human. They were like these giant heads. So there's skulls, there's this sort of temple area, and you can go visit it for like 30 euros. But it's like you have to sign a big waiting list to even get to see it.
6,000 years old, centuries older than Stonehenge and the pyramids of Egypt.
There you go.
And what do you have to say about that, Jason?
I undersold it.
Yeah, you did. It's all right. That's spicy. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm in.
that's just a little taste of history of what Malta has to offer.
Nice.
You know, we could tell you what else it has, but we'll leave you with the Giants this week. We'll bring you something next week, Jason.
Perfect.
Bring on a weekly basis here of all the exciting little prospects. But Furia, that's another one. Actually, you got two. You got two nuggets, Jason. You got the Furia nugget, which you already knew, and the Giant nugget, which you didn't. So
didn't know.
one nugget.
That's the thing I learned today. Learn something new every day. That's it.
So we learned about 4th of July safety precautions. There's no real family rituals. What else is going on at the moment? There's public holiday here. Yanka, you got any public holidays going on in Serbia at the moment? What's happening this time of year? It's summer. How do the Serbians enjoy their summertime?
No public holidays during the summer. People usually just go somewhere close by to vacation. Serbians go to Greece a lot.
Sure.
Montenegro as well, I guess. But Greece is nicer. And yeah, the city becomes emptier because there's no exams, stuff like that. So students who live in Belgrade during the exam periods and whatnot, lectures and stuff go back. So yeah, it's just like
It's got to be nice down by the river.
Yeah, it is, but it still gets pretty hot in Belgrade. Like it's been a little bit slower this time, but next week I guess it's going to be like in the mid the 30s, so it gets pretty warm. And it's not like when it's 30 degrees in Malta, you still have a breeze, you still have the sea there, so it's nicer. It isn't as hot, and here it's just concrete. It's a city, so yeah, I mean nothing special, just the usual stuff.
All right. Well, guys, I got something here. I got something here for everybody. So occasionally I check my emails. It's something that's happening rarer and rarer these days. But I did get an email 17 hours ago. This email is from a gentleman named Trey. I'll leave his last name out of it. It's not Stunner, I promise. And he sent an email in saying that he loves the podcast and hope that we'll get more player interviews as we get out of the break in the coming days. Now, there's a second part to this. Let's talk about the first part. Now, obviously, when we're at the events, that's when we can get the players. But what we can get is one HenryG and one Alexander Machine Richardson live and direct in my living room on Friday. So that's a little bit of an exclu right there. We're going to do a video ep in the living room. Henry, Alex, he's signed up. We just need to select a time.
Are we going to do
this Friday, right?
Should we do a talent announcement for this episode? Release a graphic on Twitter?
We could do. If we do over every 6 hours. No, actually, we might be able to do one a day. We should be able to do one a day. It's only Tuesday, right? So if we do one tonight, one Wednesday, one Thursday, the talent announcement will be over before Friday.
Announce you first. Chad will be on
the
Talking
podcast.
Counter.
Yeah. And then we'll say and the second name, and then we'll leave it blank, and people might guess Moses or Yanko, but no, it'll be Henry or Machine. Anyway, so we'll have that going on. We'll terraform my living room. We'll make it look like a really nice set. If we
were going to do a camera
on,
one today, but it's just too much of a faff when you guys are online as well.
The audio input would be fucked.
Yeah, I think there have been sync issues. Like getting on Audacity as well would have been a nightmare.
I would have been calling Rushley on the WhatsApp for help. It would have been. Yeah. It would have been all over the place. The producer that doesn't want to produce.
That's how we run.
Why doesn't he want to join you? Like he has no interest in helping you guys out, which is kind of weird.
Do you think when you are assembling your kit with him next time, your PS Vista, I believe it is.
Yes, indeed.
When you're assembling that with him, do you think maybe you could have a conversation with him? You could maybe chat to him about it.
Well, I've got my PS Vita arriving today, so we'll be having another session this afternoon. So yeah, I'll kind of whisper in his ear. I think it's a good opportunity for him. I think putting that in your CV, like this is an iconic show now. What are you up to? 51 episodes?
Yeah, 51.
That's got to be the longest running podcast anyone's done in a while. So it's not bad. I think the most we ever managed with like our podcast episodes was like 5 or 6. Then it would just kind of simmer down.
Yeah, fizzled out. Yeah. If we had just turned the living room into a permanent studio, it probably would have happened a little bit more. But it would, it was. We didn't have the same kit that we have today. I think today we've expanded our arsenal. We've got the correct microphones. We even have arms.
Henry, did you say you're getting a PlayStation Vita?
Yes.
Isn't that like
they're all the rage right now.
Come on, man. I'm a boomer. I called it
Yeah,
Vista.
it came out in 2013, literally 10 years old, but it was the first handheld console released with an OLED screen. And if you mod them now and you install every PSP game, every Vita game, every PS1 game, it's actually the most legit portable handheld still. It runs beautifully. It's got 7 hours of battery. So for traveling, like everyone's talking about the Steam Deck, but people are sleeping on the Vita. So Rush and I are bringing them back. So we've been modding Vitas recently. That's our thing.
What games are you playing on the Vita? You getting some Twisted Metal in there or what? What are we doing?
Dude, any PlayStation 1 game you ever played, we've got the whole library on the Vita. And then the PSP, like you're playing the sports games, are really fucking good on that as well. Tekken, like all the classics, like all the big titles. It's so good.
This is my favorite aspect of your personality, Henry, is how hyped up you get about things like this, like these little games, you know, like, and then like Underlords, and then a month later you're out. And everyone else is stuck holding the bag.
I have the weirdest,
everyone
like,
else
obsessive personality.
is there like, Henry, I'm grinding Underlords. He's like, oh, I'm off that. I'm done. I'm out.
Yeah, I do those so many different things. I jump
Clash
in,
Royale.
both feet.
You got Anders hooked to that
and
for a decade. He still plays it to this day.
I can't believe he still plays that game. Like, I must have spent like 2,000 euros. Jesus. I was like, this is draining my bank account. I need to stop playing.
He's playing in the green room. I'll go sit down next to him, and he's got like a big fucking giant just attacking the tower. I'm just like, I can't believe he's playing the same deck as well. Same exact units.
The catapults is what he used to use. I remember.
The crossbow, yeah. The crossbow.
Yeah, the crossbow,
giant.
That was it, yes. Oh my God.
It's all wild. Thanks to you.
Well, I'm going to see him next week, so we'll see if he's still up to it.
It's all back to wait. I have a second part to this email here.
Okay.
It's a question. So Trey continues. I have a question. What is the strangest or weirdest things that you guys have seen in your time?
Well, generally,
best from Beastly Trey. I guess over our time
to esports
playing?
Related or just life in general?
No, I think you just didn't take it how you will on this. Have you ever had a supernatural experience, Jason? Perhaps.
Nope, I haven't.
Is that where we're going with it? I'm trying to think about strangest thing in my time of like from when I was playing as a teenager and I was traveling like interstate. We would go like this. These aren't weird things, but I'm trying to. There's definitely something weird in here that would have happened or strange that would have happened in the time. I remember back in the early days of Vox Eminor, we went to this first event, MSI Beta, in 2013, and it was in Beijing, China. But it wasn't like central Beijing. It was definitely outside of the city. It was like an hour taxi, and it was late at night, and it was actually quite scary. Regardless, I'm alive. Everything worked out fine. But I got there a day earlier than most of my teammates, me and Sniper, because we were from Perth, so we were on similar flights or same flights. And we got there and we went to a mall, and we were in the mall next door to the hotel, and there was a baby and I guess it was the mother or the grandmother, and I guess the kid had to go to the bathroom and just like fucking pulls off its dax, lifts up its legs, and like lets it piss into the corner of a wall in this fucking mall. And I was like, what the fuck is going on here? So that was something that was weird. Like I knew if I just started talking, I'd find something. So that was something that was pretty weird.
That is quite
on
weird.
an esports adventure.
Did anyone confront them or say
No,
you
I think
can't
it's
do
quite
that?
normal in China actually.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think so.
Just, don't go to the toilet, do it in the corner.
I think so.
There's a couple. We've had a few weird situations. I remember, was it in Cologne one year? We were walking around and we stumbled upon a guy with his like boyfriend leashed as a dog in like leather.
Yeah, but
gear.
it's during Pride there, so it is. You expect.
I'm not trying to shame anything, but that
bit.
is still a little bit of a weird thing to like hit you in the face as you turn a corner. We had the sauna experience in China of the naked Chinese man who came in and just started eating an orange in the steam room while we were in there.
That was you and I.
That was unique.
And then he was in the kind of dressing room or the changing room, sorry, and just
he was
farting
farting
straight
and
up,
yeah.
just open wet farts as well as sweaty farts.
It's definitely not the way we do our sauna experience, but it was interesting to learn a little bit how he liked to conduct himself.
Sure,
that was curious.
Good on him, I guess. He doesn't care what people think.
No, he's
just to him.
Happy to be him at all times. What else have I remember. Like back when we did the Championship Gaming Series stuff, remember? Oh, actually, you wouldn't have been there, Henry, because this was the Pan-Asian stuff. So we were doing it in Wuhan, China. And the audience they had there was just like local citizens of fucking Wuhan. It was like, hey, there's this gaming thing on, come in. And then which section you sit in, they just give them shirts of that team. Because obviously the CGS was made to look like it was full and had an audience and everything like that. And I remember there was this one, like, and they all wanted to take photos because we were Westerners, and that's obviously not very common there. And this is back in 2008 as well. So it's quite a time ago. So they want to take photos and stuff, and then they're coming like day after day, and this thing goes for like a week or whatever of matches. And this one girl, she took a liking to our team or whatever. She came back the next day and she like gifted us cooked chicken's feet.
Ooh.
And I was for the team, and I was like, "What the? We didn't eat the chicken's feet. I'm sure the chicken's
I'd
feet.
imagine they're probably quite good. It's
Yeah,
like
but
a
as an
little snack.
18-year-old Hank, you're a little bit more. You're probably not as adventurous
Right.
in that regard. Maybe doing other silly
Would
things.
you
but I
eat the
think,
chicken's feet now?
No,
I would,
no.
yeah.
I think it's just me. I just don't think I do the chicken's feet.
I assume they're nice and salted. They're in a little bag, perhaps
Seasoned.
Like they'll probably be fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, nice and seasoned.
I don't know. It just doesn't. I'm sure it is probably really good. I don't know. I guess it's not my thing. I don't like watermelon, so I probably wouldn't like chicken's feet.
You don't like watermelon?
Yeah, good point.
No, not really.
Why
I think
not?
like
What
I
is
don't
it-
like.
What is it that really gets you?
Well, this is probably a bad comparison, but because I compared it to chicken's feet, which I imagine is the opposite texture of this. But I don't like mega mushy stuff. Like
Okay.
mushy things kind of freak me out a bit. I think it has a name, but I just consider myself to be weird. Like the mushy
Can you give us
texture.
some other examples?
Yeah, what's another mushy? Do you like
Like-
mushy peas?
Not really. I don't like bananas very much.
Wow.
I'll have them in a smoothie. I won't like. I don't.
What about like risotto?
Mashed potatoes?
I don't love mash. I'll eat it.
Oh my
I'm
God,
not a
I
big,
didn't know
This
that.
is
not a big
weird.
risotto
So when mash
guy.
arrives at a table, you've got a trigger in your head going, "Oh shit, mushy
just a
substance
weird-
arrived."
I'd like to be able to get a crunch or a bit of a chew, and like
fair
obviously
enough.
mash is it's a puree. So yeah, I think I'm really only thinking about this now. So we're getting to the bottom of how fucked up I am. I've also never
You don't
had
like
soft drink.
fizzy drinks, right? Yeah, exactly. You don't know. I've never seen you drink a fizzy drink. You have beer occasionally, but like, is it the fizz or the sugar you don't like?
When I was a kid, I didn't like the bubbles in drinks, so
Right.
I never had soft drink. And then when I became an adult, I was like, well, beer's fine because you have it for other purposes than the drink itself. And then I was like, well, I see a lot of other people drinking a shitload of Coca-Cola and not looking too healthy, so I just won't touch that.
You were
shit.
ahead of the curve. Yeah.
Yeah, so I never
Not
had.
looking too old.
I didn't have
Fair enough.
the addiction as a kid to soft drinks, so it didn't really carry it through to an adult, which is a nice thing to not be able to have to have. I'm happy with water and coffee. It's probably my go-tos.
Sure.
The occasional
Fair enough.
froth, the occasional
Yeah.
froth.
Diet Coke's my biggest vice. I can't get off it, but yeah.
What are they
Fizzy
saying about the
drinks.
sweetness? It's all out there at the moment. It's all in the news.
Yeah, carcinogenic aspartame, I think it's called. I don't know. I don't buy into any of that shit anyway. Like, I've been drinking it for 20 years. It's probably too late for me.
Down that rabbit hole.
Like, you know what I mean? I've been drinking a lot of it for a long time.
And kids, that is not a good mindset. Do not adopt that mindset. Children at home.
You can do things to counteract it. You get out there. You get out there. You expend a lot of energy in a day, Jason.
Yeah, I'm with you. You
You're
can always
quite
reverse
the-
course. Yeah.
You're quite the active Larry.
Yeah, I do some things from time to time.
Have we lost Yanko? Is he still on the line?
He's still
Yeah,
here.
yeah, I'm here.
He hasn't had any
Yanko.
weird experiences in esports.
No weird.
I mean, my
experiences,
whole
no.
experience in
Unsafe, the
esports is
podcast.
weird.
True.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, where would I even start? My first tournament started by escorting Anders in Poland to buy shirts. Like,
Yeah, he couldn't. Anderson know how to buy dress shirts.
like
That's a good point,
you
actually. I've got to
became
get new glasses.
Anders-
it was just like, oh, okay, Anders, you're you are Serbian. Go with him to make sure translate what, like, Anders can't buy shirts on his own, so I need to escort him. Like, am I his bodyguard? Like,
Did you have to
what's,
hold his hand, or how did it go?
I can't remember. I think he just pick out like a white shirt.
Not for the standard. You're gonna be all right, Henry. He just bought a new jacket and a couple new shirts for the major, so he's got a fresh wardrobe.
Yeah, I haven't, though. I threw all my broadcast stuff in the bin. So I've got nothing left. I've
It's
got
actually
like my
it was actually a
wardrobe is like-
barrel. It was a barrel, and we lit it on fire.
So I own like 10 black t-shirts in my wardrobe. That's about it. So I am probably going to end up spending like 600 euros on fucking shirts this week, I guess. You have to wear shirts or plus,
As-
right?
yeah,
Well,
you do have to wear-
Blasted,
you do have to wear
I would say
shirts.
they're the dressier of the mob.
Yeah, they're going to expect me, especially towards the end. They're going to want me. In
You
like a
can
tie
you
as
can
well.
get away with it. No, you can get
Don't know
away with
about
like
a tie.
a button down during the early days, and then in the more important matchups, throw a jacket on.
Gonna have to buy
But a
as
jacket
well, I
and a
guess.
t-shirt, Henry. You could go Hank Moody,
Yeah, that's true. That's a good look.
Yeah, you can get away with that. You've still
Been a
got
while.
the
I
jacket
forgot
on.
about that. It's a good thing we brought it up. I actually hadn't considered it whatsoever.
Oh, you've got plenty of time.
Got a week, yeah.
Yeah.
So we can sort it out.
7
And-
days.
Also not
and-
known for its shopping.
And
but-
Yanko can come help you if you
True.
require a little bit of
Yes,
assistance.
get that white shirt.
So what, we're flying Yanko to Denmark to take Henry shopping, or we're flying Yanko to Malta to take Henry shopping?
I'd say give the decision up to Yanko. Where would he rather visit?
Malta.
Okay,
Yeah, he likes a bit of Malta.
Sure.
It's that's easy.
There we go.
Yes,
Neverland of Europe.
I don't know. There was a lot of weird experiences. People saying I need, if they would hire me, would need to put subtitles when I speak. That was weird.
Bloody hell.
It was weird having
was
to
weird.
take my headset off mid Star Series to go and tell production that mine and Thorin's headset was dead, and we couldn't hear anything or talk while Maniac and Matt were still doing the segment. Yeah, I don't know.
Those are the old school
Good
days of
times.
esports of just broke
Chicken
half
feet were
working
weird
production.
as well. Yeah, in China.
I thought
I'm
that
not
chicken
gonna
feet were
lie.
pretty weird.
That was pretty weird to me, but apparently it's like a thing there. When we were with FaZe and Steel Series, China and all of that stuff, going to do content with them, So yeah, there was plenty of weird things happening. Probably don't remember half of them.
Well, that was the reading an email for once segment. So maybe we get a jingle for that segment there where I read an email. Because, we
How
talk...
many emails do you get?
Well, okay, there are emails that come through. Let me go to
Do you guys utilize that feature on Spotify where people can send in questions on the episode?
Oh, yeah, sometimes. One of the most recent ones, the one where we spoke about Rush being the producer of the show, I asked if people think Rush should be the producer of the show, and I think a whopping 88% said yes, Rush should be the producer of the show. But, Henry, there is also a feature where people, it just says, what did you think about this episode? And people can say whatever they want to say. Somebody asked Yanko about your boot camp facility. It's a one Andy. Andy said, did Yanko put soundproofing in the gaming rooms too? So he was curious about the soundproofing in your gaming rooms.
No, not fully soundproof. I didn't deem that necessary at the time, but I knew I overlooked something. So,
Fuck.
if people end up complaining, maybe that's the next step.
Your thing's open now, right? You said the 1st of July.
Yeah.
Are people in there?
Yeah, we got a
It's all
team in
going
there.
smoothly. No technical issues. All good to
Well,
go.
no technical issues. Just a couple of things to be ironed out. As whenever you open a new place, there's probably something you overlooked or anything. But I think by the end of tomorrow morning, it should all be nice and cool. But there's nothing really impeding them to play or practice or anything like that. It's some smaller things, really.
Okay.
You said it's EG there right now.
Yeah.
Ooh, first client. How's
They
how's the opening?
They tweeted it out.
Is this considered the soft opening?
What does that mean? No, it's it's open. That's
Okay.
it.
Cool. Soft opening is
well-
you open for 2 days and then close down for a week before the actual opening.
No, we already sort of did that. We had iNation in playing a bit to see that everything works and all of that stuff. But yeah, Henry, now if they end up playing really well at Blast, make sure every 3 rounds, just like you had those Brazy party obligations, make sure and just so you know, EG.
And if your team is not playing up to par, the way EG's was, head off to Yanko's boot camp and enjoy a luxurious
Yeah.
experience.
What is the name of the facility?
The name is actually
IGN.
called Enat.
Enat.
ENAT. I think actually today is when all the social media and websites will go public. And actually, I came up with the word because in Serbian it's spelled with an I instead of an E, but it's pronounced the same. And what it means is it's basically trying to prove someone, like when someone tells you you can't do something, like trying to prove them wrong and doing it like despite that or in spite of that. That's like what Inat is. I think Djokovic even described it like one time. So I think it's like actually a pretty cool sort of wordplay with the spelling, and then also what it actually means. I think it connects really nice. So
It's cool with
I'm not usually, you guys know, I'm not really a creative person, but I'm kind of proud I came up with that one.
My man.
It's cool to see what like because this, well, it's not a LAN cafe, right? But
No.
it's like the evolution like of these type of facilities, right? Like PCs, when they were available to us when we would go to LAN cafes, different type of environment. This is obviously like a private thing you book. And it's for professional teams, but like it's kind of crazy that these places exist and there's a big need for them. Like it's actually really cool, and it is cool to hear that EG are in Europe already. I was playing deathmatch earlier today, and Hex was in there warming up. So they're over here and they're making the most of it. Even just playing in Europe compared to other parts of the world, the players that you're playing generally in FACEIT, like, or that you're playing in the warm-up deathmatch servers or whatever, like, they're players who can shoot back. Like, that alone will make you like a more switched-on player, at least for the time being. That's the biggest issue I remember we had when we would go back to Australia. Like, you'd come over, you'd get used to like all the things that they're punishing you for, like the lazy peaks that you'd be going, or like angles that you'd be overlooking. You'd get up to snuff in terms of like your sharpness and everything. And then you go back to Oz, and then you could just go back to doing all your dumb shit again because you're not against the caliber of player that could punish you for it.
Yeah.
It's kind of a rough spot.
It's always hard. I played some matchmaking, some CS2 here in NA the other night, and it's the same thing. It's just like I mean, it's CS2, so again, the limited pool, but like the average player you're just like, holy shit. Like, it's just the raw skill isn't even there.
They need to open up to everybody. So, well, I guess I'm kind of glad they haven't yet, because if they do, then that's when we get the split population thing. Maybe they've learned from how it was before. Remember when we've had stuff in the past like this and it's like caused like the split population, and this would only be temporary, of course. But I think, yeah, I don't know.
They're opening it up wider every time they do like one of the bigger updates and put a new map in, right? They add more accounts. So, I mean, it's just going to get bigger and bigger, I would imagine. Although I don't know what percentage of the scene is actually getting access.
Yeah, I don't know either. I think, though, that at least, especially with the more recent version, like we played a bit, the movement feels, I would say, significantly better. I wouldn't say it's perfect by any means. I don't think it's
getting there, though.
How are you enjoying the sound? Is my question.
The sound is pretty woeful right now. On Nuke especially, like it sounds like you're underwater in the lower bomb site. Like in the vents, like it sounds fun.
The sound is very not great. Very not great.
Yeah, that's a good way of describing it, I suppose.
And that's the technical, ladies and gentlemen.
I couldn't think of a better word to go for the negative. I had it in my head and then I lost it and I had to pivot.
God damn.
I think there's certain stuff that's okay to be different, but the audio being so drastically, like we've had bad audio in the past in versions of Counter-Strike, right? But this here, like it all sounds muffled. It's like when you're in a swimming pool and people are talking like above you, and you can hear like...
I think that's just like where they've gone with those like sort of environmental effects, though, like the fact you're underground, you're in a vent.
So you think it's just intentional, right?
Yeah, but it's just an equalizer thing. I think that's a very easy fix. I don't think it's the engine's fucked or anything like that. It's just like those are the original settings they've gone for. Now after testing, not the one. We just changed the equalizer. It should be fine.
But that I suppose is something that needs to be... I guess people would be complaining about the audio, sure, but this is where you hope that like the access that pros have by talking to them on Twitter or emailing them or whatever kind of gets through, especially in the break when players either might have some more free time to, just jump in. Like, because Rops has been playing a little bit of CS2 and stuff. He's been streaming, which has been cool. But yeah, like if it's... This is the thing, like they could come in and decide how they want the mechanics to be, but there's also the way that like things should be, because Counter-Strike has certain elements to it, like, and sound is a massive one. Being able to identify exactly where your opponent is, how far away they are, and how you can react in this time. Like, can I make noise? What angle should I set up on if they're coming from this direction or they're going here? This is most likely what they're doing. All of that can be just kind of picked up from audio alone, right? And then to essentially... I don't know. Would it be considered nerfing? It's harder to hear. Does that just make it a harder skill, or does it make it like an impossible skill? I don't know. I guess that's the next layer of thinking about it that I'm just getting to now. Anyway, I don't think it's good that you can't hear where they are, but maybe I need to play with it more.
It still feels like
I'm just thinking if I was talking to Valve and what they'd be saying. Fuck.
It still feels like they're trying to like make the sound like, I don't know, like so like directional that, you know, because like they still have that factor where like players who are far away, like the drop off of sound is so drastic when you're getting shot at from like a longer distance. I don't know. Everything just feels a little echoey when I was playing the other night, so it was just strange. But game feels better in terms of movement, in terms of shooting and all that.
Yeah. The main concern for me right now is when you bump into your teammates.
Yeah,
it
there's
feels
still
like
that.
you get stuck in sludge.
Yep.
I don't know why that's still there, but like that has to go. That's really
There's like a weird
kind of,
clipping
disjointed.
effect you feel when you run alongside someone.
Yeah, that's the worst thing for me. It's so noticeable for some reason. I just notice it every single round.
Yeah, it's kind of like a bumper car type thing, right? Like
Exactly.
if you knock into someone and you kind of get propelled off in a different direction, it seems to be a bit odd with that. But I guess it's trying to decide who's on that tick first type thing. But I think that for me at least, like I don't know how much like more they can do, but I assume what they can do with tweaking, I wouldn't say it's unlimited, but I'd say there's a vast variety of things that they can try and implement, right? So right now, with what I've seen in this update, if they continue to get more feedback of how things should be or what feels off or bugs that are found, and they continue to progress in this same... Like if the next update is equally as sized in terms of making the game feel that much better again, right? That would be huge. That would be fucking crazy. Like if they go, okay, it feels... Actually, it's heading in the right direction. The next update, it's that good yet again, right? Then, okay, fuck. Like we can actually get there. And I feel like we can. I don't know why we...
Well, the trajectory is very good. Like every week now, it feels like there's a significant update, right? So if they keep dropping those, I think...
Yeah, I'm not stressed about the overall improvement. Just something that needs to get fixed as time goes on.
All right. Well, let me reel off some of these here because lots of things happen in the Counter-Strike world at the moment.
Oh, yes.
And if anybody wants to stop and talk about any of these, we can. So stop me at any point. Mao's bid farewell to Dexter. I think we pretty much knew that was going to be happening, right? Like, so we were just talking about that as the as a fact. So we talked about the safe and drop thing. They're signed by MIBR. I don't know if we want to spend too much time on that. What else we got? Big, we will call in English. Yep. Shui returns. We knew that was going to happen as well.
Yeah.
Endpoint signed a new player. He's British. That's great news.
I spoke to Max this morning.
Yeah.
I wanted to get some intel. Yeah, apparently this new kid, he's up and coming. He looks, yeah, apparently he's shit hot. Like Max has got a good eye for new talent. I think he always seems to find great players, like Nerds, for example. So they've gone for the British core this time.
Too.
I think. Sorry,
Flames too. He was on.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. And they've gone back to the British core now. So I think they haven't announced their fifth just yet. But Zulu and then Heavy God and then Surreal as well. I think is solid. We'll see how it goes. Like, yeah.
Can it take on Into the Bridge though, Henry? That's the real question.
Well, they've lost for the first time. They lost the ESL UK Prem this year to Into the Breach. Like they lost their crown, which was. I don't know. That was a big moment in UKCS.
Thomas
so
the
it'd be
Frag
nice to see them
engine.
rebuild. Like, that's quite good. Endpoint. I don't know. They had a great year. Like, well, 2022 when they were a pro league and stuff, took down Navi famously. Chad. It seemed like they were like at events, and now they've completely dropped off. So yeah, I guess a rebuild was in order. Best of luck to them. It's been a rough year. I think they got rid of Regin as well, right, as the coach.
Yes.
So. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting rebuild. Whether they can do it, time will tell. But yeah, they'll be going with the old formula of bringing in unknown talent and hoping to bring them up to scratch.
Sifting for gold, as it were. We got a recent bit of news here. Fnatic bench Nikodos, which leaves the roster currently at Crims, Roy, and Mezzi. There's been a lot of conversations about like a big rebuild over there at Fnatic, but we're not sure where they're going to land just yet. But Nikodos on the bench. There's a lot of like Danish players who you could, make into another pretty decent Danish team. Yeah, you just throw them together, mash them together. Not saying they're going to be like God tier or anything, but they could definitely be competitive.
Well,
There's a lot of them going around.
Glaive out there in the wild as well. You got like a ready-to-go in-game leader.
That's true.
I mean, you have Glaive, Dupree, Astag, Refresh.
Nikodos.
True.
That's spicy.
There you go.
Yeah, you could have a team.
TSM.
You could have a team pretty quickly, and they wouldn't be too bad by any stretch
Have
of the
there been any
imagination.
more leaks about the
I guess
TSM stuff?
that particular lineup needs a little bit more firepower, but yeah.
We haven't heard anything more about TSM, or at least I haven't. I'm not in the back channels. Jason's normally the man we send into the back rooms.
I don't expect to hear any crazy news about TSM anytime soon, because I imagine that kind of an organization comes in with a splash, right? They want like a big, strong team right out of the gate, I would imagine. But no, I don't know anything.
Yeah,
nothing.
I don't know anything. I haven't heard any juicy rumors.
They haven't been in CS for so long that I don't even know anyone in that organization anymore. All the people I did know have left. Like I don't even know who's kind of the point man over there for putting it together.
Yeah, everything's kind of scoured over quite large these days, isn't it? First it was Twitch, now it's all the orgs. I think I heard it's this Yimpat kid who's meant to be going to Mouse in place of JDC. He's was on the NXT roster. He's Sergey's little brother, I think, like the Finnish Sergey.
All right.
So there's a little something, but I think that's somewhat known. I've definitely seen that on the dirt sheets of the forums. I love, mate, there's so much gossip. People out there just talking about everything. Some stuff's real, some stuff's not. It really doesn't matter. You can believe it's all real in the moment. You're enjoying it, as long as it's not malicious and nasty. As long as you're having a good time with it. You're talking about this guy being good, this guy joining that team. It's all good.
Hasn't been too much drama this cycle. Just a little bit. Some, I think, Dupree got upset with the leak. That was about as bad as it got.
Yeah.
Everything seems pretty calm right now. Everyone's just enjoying the changes.
How many days does it stay calm for? Because there was obviously the Maui Nafany simple three-way situation
that was nice.
that went on.
That was so good, actually.
We needed something to spice up the player break.
That was good. Yeah, that was good.
I don't know. I haven't seen too much else. People have been quite chill. I'm not sure. Maybe I missed some stuff. I don't know. In terms of the overall news, all these roster changes are really cool. But we were talking about Henry and I were chatting about this before we came to do the potty. But Blast is, we know we're looking at 12 teams, right? The 12 partner teams, and out of the 12 teams here, you've got Heroic, FaZe, and G2 as three of the big names. That's world number 1, 3, and 4 right now, who haven't had any roster changes. So already out the gates, they're ahead of the rest of the field, and either level with them or just behind is Vitality, right? Who've brought in Flames. But I think we like the firepower there, and we think that it's probably going to make the team, stronger. Will it be immediately or will it take time? I don't know. But you'd say that they're at the front of the pack here with those other names I mentioned. And then you have everybody else. We have expectations.
Every other team is massive changes as well. Vitality was one player. Complexity is just a lesion but everyone outside of that is a massive core changing, difference.
EG's brand new, all of them, right? And it's going to be some fresh, Junior coming back to see if he can do it. Automatic still given the source. Hexed with a pretty recent second dip. George Snorts and Walco in the mix there. You've got Big, who have promoted a bunch of kids from the academy roster, Process and Sin, and we already saw a little bit of Sin. And then Mantu, it's his opportunity back since OG. Navi, brand new international roster. How fucking crazy is that going to be? OG brought in Keto and Fasha. And there's,
Regali.
Questions about the firepower there. Yeah, but we're expecting to get a bit more out of Regali. Astralis had that mix-up, got rid of Glaive, put blame to in-game leading, brought in Stare, which we were expecting, and then Borup was a bit of a wild card. NIP with Hampus instead of Alexi. We don't know what we're going to get from these teams. It's exciting.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. It is pretty exciting. Yeah, it's gonna be a fun tournament to gauge how all these went.
And you also want to keep in mind the runway, right? Because when they come in here, some of them, this is their warm into the season with Cologne just around the corner. I think there's 2-day differential between the end of this and the start of Cologne, right? So you want to make sure things are good and you have a positive mindset for these teams going into Cologne. You don't want to have a horrific fucking Blast event and just get pummeled. You don't want to be just getting and nothing works going. You want to have some good vibes.
Yeah, you don't want to start. You don't want to start the season looking back and being we fucked up. We fucked up with all these changes.
Speaking of wild moves, Liquid and Rainwaker. Patsy, you kind of understand. Rainwaker, I don't know much about him. Can someone give me some insight as to his background?
So he's just been playing in Bulgarian teams, but the word on the street is, in terms of the type of player they were looking for, somebody quite passive and playing these more anchory roles. They like the decisions that he makes as a player.
When when I spoke
scouted
with
him and they really liked it.
Yeah, when I spoke with them in Dallas, the big thing that they mentioned was it was just like he plays like he really minimal mistakes, like doesn't make a whole lot of bad decisions, doesn't put himself in bad places, sharp aim, been like really consistent throughout his time in the lower leagues that he's been playing in. But the big thing was just the fact that he just seems, they said he's just very smart. He's like 22 years old and he's not making mistakes, is what they kept harping on.
Yeah, so that's going to be interesting to see that at tier 1 though, right? Because it all
Yeah.
changes. But
Yep.
I think as well, like him being cheap probably played a factor in the
Yep.
whole CS2 thing as well. Like I think some people are weighting the CS2 factor more than others.
I think you should though, right? Like that's such an unknown quantity going forward. Like we're changing to a different game. Everyone's signing these massive deals and 2-year commitments, and it's like, damn, is this the time to do it when a new game is around the corner? Like I'm not so sure. It seems a wild time right now in the roster mania.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that no approach is perfect, right? Like if let's say heroic G2 phase, like they start the season a little bit slow, people are like, okay, well, you know, why didn't G2 get rid of Hooksy? Or if Vitality come in with Flames and they bottle the first event and come last, people are like, well, yeah, you should have kept Dupree. Da, da, da. Like we're gonna, no matter what, like some team is not going to win, some team is not going to perform. And
True.
you know that narrative is going to get made like, well, we already know, like everyone's speculating what the negatives and the positives are of all of these changes, but we don't know which ones are going to stick. Like you could hazard some bets, but like they're all on certain conditions. Like Na'Vi, how the fuck is Na'Vi going to function? How are Na'Vi going to play?
That one really interests me quite a lot because you've got like the likes of Imit and JL coming in, and sure, they performed great at the major, but now the spotlight's on you. You didn't really have anything to lose at that last event. And sure, you had an amazing run.
Yeah, you're Na'Vi now.
And now you've got to play with simple breathing down your neck. If you go and dive first and he's sighing down the mic and not happy with the performance, like, I don't know, it's going to take some real strong mental fortitude to survive that.
Yeah, just imagine
that sort of
if you come in
situation.
and you're putting out like 50% of what you did at the major. They're just like,
Right.
wait, what the fuck? What happened?
Because you weren't getting the big bucks then. The pressure wasn't too high. Now you're really on the saddle. You're getting the tier 1 salary. Everyone's expecting you to perform. You're in one of the most legendary organizations. Like that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
It's a cool little project, but I don't know. I'd be feeling nervous going to this first event, like having to kind of live up to these expectations.
You know what? I think Alexi probably has more pressure on him than
Yeah.
JL to wrangle this team as a leader and get them into a style that everyone's happy and comfortable with, and having to work with Simple as an in-game leader. I think also like you have to think if this goes south, if this turns out to be like a poor experience, you got to wonder how many more opportunities does Alexi get at this level, like right out of the gate. Is anyone else concerned about that at all?
Alexi is.
Yeah, Alexi is.
I think so.
But like that's
yeah.
got to be the case, right? Like this is really the last chance for Alexi to show us that he can like really bring a tier 1 team and lead a tier 1 team.
I mean, to win titles, absolutely. Like, there's no more excuses. It feels like also in a sense of maybe in some previous teams, I don't know, the atmosphere or the environment wasn't great, but now you've experienced that. So now coming in, you're not going to allow some things to happen. You're going to maybe demand more control, whatever it may be. Like, those experiences have at the very least taught you a many number of things that can go wrong, right? And what you need to pay attention to outside of just on the server and setting things up and so on. So I think because of all of that, yeah, it does feel like a last chance. I don't know, for me also for Navi, it does feel with the amount of talent in the CIS region, it felt unnecessary to go international. Sure, like maybe long term, but I mean, you just have so much talent. I don't think that you really had to do that. And also another thing that it's maybe going a little bit under the radar is also communicating in English. I mean, for someone like Bit, I mean, his English doesn't seem great. I don't know how much that's going to impact him. Simple, sure, like his English is fine, but you know, he hasn't played in an international team since Liquid, and that was what, 7 years ago.
Yeah.
At this point in time, also they have their own specific way of calling like spots
names and shit,
names and stuff, right? Do they stick to that, or do they move
have to go
English
versions. You
right?
have to.
And English is like less precise, so
yeah, the Russian version they use like numbering system.
Yeah.
Right? They name or number the spots, and it's a lot more efficient. But yeah, that's going to completely change.
I think as well, Yanko, a point like here with Alexi coming in, like, do you as Blade give authority to Alexi to kind of dictate the way that they should approach the game? Because now it's an international team, and we've heard from some international teams that it's harder to play really slow when you're not speaking the native tongue, because information is there's gonna be that lag, right? We've heard some teams say that's a harder thing to do. So, and Na'Vi have been known at times to be a very slow team. So, like, they're gonna have to adapt in that way as well.
I think Alexi should listen to Blade, whatever it is that he has to tell him, like, in pointers he has to give him. Of course, you don't want to make him super uncomfortable, but I mean, that's a conversation you have before you bring him in and say, hey, this is the way we like to play. How do you like to play? If there's plenty of overlap, then that's fine. But if it's two different philosophies, then you'll have the whole conundrum that Vitality had initially when they brought in Zonic and the Danish players. Like, you're trying one thing, then the other thing, and then, you know, nothing's working. You're unhappy until eventually, you know, someone takes more control. Probably
they're essentially
Apex in
doing
their
that right
case.
now, right? Because they're already boot camping. What you're talking about, they're doing, like, you would hope that they had those conversations before, but working it out is what they're doing now. Like, they'll go into practice and they'll essentially be doing trial and error of different ideas, and they're going to see what sticks, because, you know, some players just play off of each other better than others, right? Like, I know we have players who are going to be in certain positions and whatnot, but there's certain scenarios that you see, oh, these guys work together well late in the round, or it just kind of works that way, that some of the players seem to sync up in what they complement each other with. I remember when I would be in certain situations with players, like for Justin, for example, I know that he's going to sit and wait for them to initiate and then he'll react, right? So when it's me and him in like a more clutch scenario, I'll be the guy to initiate so they make a move into him, right? So you'd kind of know what your role would have to be or in those scenarios. So I'm curious to see at this period now, like, how do you even come in? You don't sit there and go, okay, guys, this is the stuff we're going to run. You go, all right, well, you know, these are the positions. How do we sync up? Let's try this. Let's run this default. Let's just run games where all we're doing is defaulting and working on comms. It just feels like such a crazy place to have to start. Like,
well,
just before the season.
Yeah, and there's not a whole lot of time to like get into the nitty gritty details, right? Like, you have blast groups and then Cologne, and then what?
I'm sure they make like a path though, right? Like, this is what I'm talking about. They must blueprint it. Okay, guys, we just need to get ourselves to this point for Blast, and then during Blast, we're going to focus on this, and then once Blast is over, it's going to be a bigger event. We want it. This is the goal we're going to set for ourselves, and this is the type of Counter-Strike we're hoping to play. Like, we're hoping to have refined this much by this point, because no one's expecting these new rosters to be the best Counter-Strike teams in the world by Cologne. That's why I'm saying, like, the Heroics and the G2s and the Phases and the Vitalities with their one change are slightly ahead of everybody else. The teams that should be doing well at these first couple of events are those names, while everybody else works out what the fuck they're doing. Unless one of these mixes is just fucking god tier. And then if that happens, well, I'm excited. Sign me up. We just got to throw a dart at a fucking board and see which one it lands on, because it's so... With some of them, it's so hard to... Like, what if we sit here and we go, okay, Simple now with the international project, and the fact that this is an international team has like motivated him a shitload, and now he's fucking grinding and he's going to come in and own and have old Simple top form. Because at the start of this year, Yanko, we're talking about Simple, you know, not being his old self. Is this a motivating factor to get him back to being the top dog? Like, Zywo is clearly the best player in the world right now.
I don't know. I don't think this changes. I think it has to come from within, from something else. I don't think like him proving that he can do it in an international team is actual motivation, or that someone like Simple needs to like search motivation like that. I feel like he's an extremely competitive guy when he can be focused and be allowed to focus on playing Counter-Strike exclusively, right? So whether that has changed for him or not, I guess we'll have to see how that goes, right? But just the fact that it's an international team in itself, I don't think it's going to move the scale all too much.
Fair enough. Yeah, it's a unique time to be in. Yeah.
You know who I'm like? I told you one of my teams that I'm looking forward to watching. I think they're going to be exciting. Is Spirit.
Yeah.
I should have mentioned Ents as well, by
You
the
know
way. I
who-
didn't mention Ents before. I just want to get on the record before someone fucking tries to line me up.
You know who's the second team?
Who was the first team you said?
Spirit.
Okay, yeah. The second team?
Falcons.
Cloud9? Falcons. Oh, with
Yeah.
Lonks. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And MHL and shit.
From like these, lower tier teams, not the blockbuster names and the blockbuster changes, because they brought in Boros, Longs, MHL. So they have those three young guys, and then Body and MBK. And if they can like somehow figure that out, like build a good, like set up the game well and create a good atmosphere with the young guys, like not too strict, but also not too loose, sort of an environment in which those three guys can thrive and frag. Like I can see them, at the very least qualifying for a couple of, big turn, like maybe qualifying for Sydney, from the EU qualifier, like something like that. I could see that happen.
It's an interesting mix of players over there, but this is like I'm similarly hopeful when Sprout, there was a period of time where Sprout looked like they could have been exciting and kind of broken through that barrier. I guess it's the same thing here, but they have the difference of the experience from MBK and I suppose Body, who was there towards the top, but only for a shorter period of time, right? So it is an interesting mix to see. I think that they'll be at the Game as 8 event, right? I'm not sure I don't think they're in Cologne. I don't think they are in that. So they'll be at Game as 8, but that I guess that's their focal point, I imagine, to go to that event and make a bit of a splash there. And also for the org, I think it's like a home event as well. So there's that going on. There's just like we're almost back. We're almost back in season, and it's like all I want to do is sit at home and play Counter-Strike. So and maybe a little bit of DayZ.
We have been doing a lot of that, to be fair.
Yeah,
Nice.
I feel like we'd like to do more though.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel like there's enough hours in the day between all the podcasts I'm doing. Henry, there's a fucking podcast every minute, so you got to fit the Counter-Strike in between that.
You do enjoy a podcast.
I don't think anyone enjoys the podcast quite as much as me.
And even when you're not on the podcast, you've got like 5 podcasts you listen to.
Yeah, well, I got judged for those as well. People didn't like my podcast choices, Jason. They also were unhappy with
Which choices did you have? Did you announce it on the
Don't
show?
make him. Don't make him say it again.
Okay.
Don't make him go
Okay,
through it one more time.
sorry,
Yeah.
I understand. I was just looking for the context. That's all. I understand.
There's certain things you can't like talk about, Henry, and that's apparently one of them.
What things you enjoy, you can't talk about.
Yeah, and like harmless things that
Things
don't
you
hurt anybody
personally
else.
enjoy,
Just
yeah.
like just like things I listen to and don't. Yeah, anyway. It's all right.
Now it's a brave new world.
No, it just shows I'm getting older because I think I actually have defaulted to most of it just being very humorous to me, unless I'm having a really bad day, and then it's not. But most of the time, everything's just pretty funny, which is nice.
Yeah.
It's a good place to be.
It is a good place
to look
to
at
be.
things from that angle. And then like when the thing that ticks me off still is losing counter. I fucking hate it.
It's the worst feeling in the world.
There's
I
nothing
lost to you
worse.
a couple of weeks ago, and the Goat League that affected me for like 3 days.
It's
I was,
so fucked,
in
man.
a real bad place. I was depressed.
Didn't talk to
don't
anyone,
miss that
wasn't
feeling.
on TeamSpeak.
Yeah, literally didn't leave the house for like 3 days. I was just sulking at home. I just couldn't handle losing. I hated it.
It's so bad. This is the thing, and then I like the only way to make sure that it doesn't happen again is to fucking play. But then you get you have those, and then you take some breaks, and it's like fuck. You just got to keep grinding.
And you always get
Like, you
reminded
go
of
on
how
these-
good you used to be.
But you go on
Yeah,
these patches in
that's what
Face It
gets
as well. One day, Jason, we can play some Face It and everything's fine. Everything we're having to get. It's competitive games of Counter Strike. We're doing. And the next day, I'm playing. I couldn't put my fucking crosshair in the right direction to fucking save my life, Jason.
Yeah.
There's no consistency, and the only way is to battle through, and probably not
Yeah.
change mouse.
The
every
only
third
way
day,
is to
but
have-
maybe we solve that
Changing
problem.
mouse is not maybe the route.
The only way is to get like a group of like partnered pug teams that you have, and you just play against the same ones over and over again. Then you know exactly what's coming at all times.
No, come on, I don't want
True.
that. I like the excitement of going up against a lobby and them talking shit and us winning. It's not fun when they talk shit and we lose, but when they talk shit and we win, it's fucking great.
I love
Yeah,
talking
that-
shit.
that is a
man.
good feeling.
I
I
fucking
do. I
love
talk a
talking
lot of shit too.
I'm always like when I'm in the mood, when we're having a good time. It's like I don't like talking shit. It's like kind of I talk shit when someone starts like first, or is like he's like salty about something. and we're like owning them, and then they talk, and then I'm just like being that little dick that's like, oh, that was thanks for free elo or something like that, like. But the better one is like when the opponents are actually good and you can see that they are getting annoyed. We have those opponents sometimes that get annoyed that you have basic team play.
Oh yes,
And they're like,
yes.
oh,
yeah.
you're flashing for each other, like, or you're using like smokes and smoke molly combo, like, and all of that. It's like, well, you're so good. We have to try really hard. Elo is all I have, and like things like that. It's so ridiculous, like how aggravated people get, like how invested they are into that one pug of Counter.
I know exactly what you're saying though, right? Like teams, like when we're playing and we're in like a 5-stack, like our aim is
sorry,
nowhere near as good.
I have to finish this. My favorite thing is when I'm like 3-22 and I talk the most shit. Like when I know I'm having a bad game and like Nico's carrying me and this guy on the other team is losing his mind and everything. And then I get like, I win one clutch and I'm like, so easy.
The problem we've got, Chad, is like in Facer, you can't fake nick right. So not to say people play differently, but they certainly, when they see it,
Well, they like to own us.
You and I coming
like
in
to-
and
they like to
other
own
names
us.
they recognize, like they straight away, they're not talking shit, but like, oh, we're playing against like known people in the scene, like we better like put our best showing on here, and it's just like it can be very stressful because like you've got to perform, they're expecting you to give them a good game, and like you said, the aim for some reason these days, the aim is
We're just
out of
old,
control.
man. It's so
how
hard.
good everyone is with the pre-fires and like online CS. It's just fucking hard right now. 2023 CSGO is a difficult affair in Facer level 10.
People are fucking, like, you can just see, like, the time people put into deathmatch and stuff and just focusing on their aim. Because what you're saying, Yanko, we have this experience. Like, we can do decent macro, right? Like, we can throw the base level utility to get the map control. But the bit that we just get fucking owned on is if they cunts just swing, if they just fight, if they just, like, and we just get destroyed. And it's like, well, what the fuck can we do? And it's like, we're throwing the right utility. Yeah, and then you pull out the orbs, you get a bit of cheese for a while, and then they just start rushing B on Inferno over and over again, and constant flashes in it. But that's the thing. Like, it's you have to do the team play. You have to do like the macro game to beat these guys because they're just.
That's all we've got.
It's fucked, man. Yeah, exactly. But I was talking to Henry about this before as well. I was like, mate, I was just playing deathmatch. I was just in there for deathmatch, like just doing kills. You have to do it. You don't have a choice. If you want to try and play and like be able to compete, you just have to play fucking shitloads of deathmatch. So at least we can shoot, because that's it. It's fucking hard. If all these little geeks out there would next time they see us let us win, just give us the elo. Just make it close, make us feel like we earned it. But let us win, man.
Yeah,
Make us feel
We'll get
good
back
about
on the
ourselves.
saddle. Back on the saddle this week.
Yeah. Well, the problem is like when you go to events, it's hard to keep fragging. I guess because at ESL events we get PCs. I guess I could just fucking go in deathmatch every day. Counter-Strike.
It
What
is
a
hard.
cool
You
mistress.
lose it. You lose it quick these days. We don't.
It's so fun though, man. Like there's nothing better than like, it's a tense game and you win a clutch. Like you win a 1-on-2 when the scoreline's like 12-12 or some shit and
Yeah,
you've broken
you
them.
can't
Like,
beat
it
that.
fucking feels so good, man. Even just pugs. And it feels
Yeah.
awesome. Fuck
That's why
yeah.
CS has had its
But
hook for 20 years.
you know what I hate?
Nothing can equal that feeling.
You know what I hate the most is like, okay, so we're not we're not professional players. We're not doing, we're playing like to have fun or whatever, right? But
I'm playing to win,
but
Yanko.
yes, but losing is not fun. Losing is not. It's not fun to lose, right? But I'm like okay with losing if we're having a good time or whatever. Like the game is good and we lost, who cares? But the part that I hate is this. Like I also fuck around when I play. I'd sometimes do some silly shit, right? Like, I'm not gonna listen to you, Chad, every single round micromanaging me, right? So, so it's like, I'm fine with that, but I don't tolerate fucking around in like a 4v2 anti-equal,
Agreed.
And then we lose one of those, and then I have 1400, and I have to play with a FAMAS for the next 3 gun rounds, right? That's also not fun. So, I'm like...
You try and ride a fine line of caring and not caring.
Yeah, exactly, right? So
Yeah.
I'm like, if this round is important, I'm going to be serious about trying to win it, right? But if you have a buffer of 5 rounds, and we're in a whatever, 4v3, maybe I have a cheeky dumb peak and then we, lose that round. But that's okay. We still have money to buy. We can still, it's not like horrible. But if we are fighting for our lives here and it's a close round and we just have to not do something stupid to win it, I'm not gonna do something stupid. And if someone else does something stupid and then we lose that round, then I'm going to be
I like
unhappy,
that you,
Jason.
I like that you time your stupid decisions around economy. That's next level. I really appreciate that.
Yeah,
We're
man.
fiscally responsible, some might say, Jason.
Yeah, that's admirable.
Yeah. So, no, but that there's nothing worse than winning pistol, losing second round. The game sucks from that point on. It's so hard to get back. Like it's
Always on the back foot.
Man. And if you're forced by back, and you won the pistol on the CT side, so of course when you force by back, you only got 1400. So maybe you've got a 5.7, and maybe a smoke, and it's just come on, man.
It's not ideal.
Fuck, man.
It's not
You don't want to
fucking
be
ideal.
there.
No.
You don't want to be. You'd prefer to have the AK or even the Mac 10. You'd love to be running around with the Mac 10, getting some counter in. But Henry, has your device left Italy yet? Have you checked?
No,
the
I just
tracking?
checked it like 2 minutes ago. I don't think it's happening.
It's not coming today.
There'll be no Vita today, which is
Oh,
fine.
that's not
we'll,
good.
we'll live to fight another day. It's okay.
We can't get Henry. Henry doesn't like. And this is okay. I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but he's not a fan of DayZ, so we can't get you in the DayZ. I wouldn't even try asking Yanko or Jason to get in the DayZ.
No, I just have zero interest in that sort of game.
Yeah,
It
it's
doesn't
fair
have
enough.
that sort of competitive element to it. It's a lot of walking around.
It doesn't feel as good as Counter Strike.
Like I get where you guys like it. I've always said I'm not a hater. Don't dislike that you guys play it. It's just not for me. It's not one of those games.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. I can't fault you there. I can't fault that one. It's not for everybody. Not
It's
everybody.
a bit too fiddly, There's too many moving parts.
There is a lot
same
going
reason
on.
I couldn't play that Tarkov or something like that. It looks too complicated.
Yeah, I guess that's why we always come back to Counter Strike.
I generally don't enjoy playing games that have crafting, and every game has crafting
Exactly.
nowadays.
Yeah, man, that's too much work.
It's too much.
Well, especially when you got to remember the shit and the game doesn't fucking prompt you to do stuff. You got to
Yeah.
know like the recipes and everything like that. So, yeah, cool, man. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a peaceful game. I like running through the forest, Jason.
I understand that.
So,
Yeah.
You played a lot,
Jason does that
it's like
IRL.
You probably play that just as much as CS, don't you?
yeah, I play. Well, sometimes when the thing is when you play DayZ, you have to play DayZ. Like you're not playing for short periods of time. You're playing for
Oh,
lengthy
it's just
stints.
like a week session you're in for. Is that
Yeah,
kind of thing?
because like it depends on what you're playing. Like if you're playing Namalsk, you can play like one night for like 3 or 4 hours, and you can like have a pretty cool like fun time. If you want to try and complete like some of the things to do on Namalsk, you could be doing it all week for sure. Or if you want to be on a server like Chernarus, which is a huge map, and people like build bases and shit, that's not for me. The base building shit, I don't want to fucking do the base.
Yeah, base building
shit.
seems like it'd be taking it to a new level, an unnecessary level. Unnecessary.
Yeah. Whereas the other thing's survivally and it's PvP and it's got like a bit of lore to it. Like you're trying to essentially go to a different planet. Hashtag spoiler alert. But yeah, I don't know. Like when I play it, you kind of get the bug for it because it's a really high adrenaline game when you get in fights because it's such high stakes as opposed to Counter-Strike where you die and you're alive in the next round to play. And the stakes are really crazy when it gets like down to the wire and it's clutchy and everything. You almost like a lot of the fights you have in DayZ are life or death. Like if you die, that's it. You lose everything. Like all of the time that you've spent over the last couple of hours, like looting and getting all your shit, it's likely gone when you die, right? So that's what makes like the adrenaline of that game when you do get into fights like crazy high. But there are a lot of downtimes where you're making fires and defrosting food and doing fuck all.
Yeah,
That was what pissed me off in that game. Defrosting food. I was like, what sort of bullshit mechanic is this? We've got to run around and make fires to eat food. It's like eating food's already a pain in the ass, but got to defrost all this shit.
Yeah.
what a
It's
fucking
a
insane
lot.
game mechanic. Defrosting food.
Yeah, that's when I just tapped out. I can't do this. It's like we can't make a fire right now. We're gonna have to wait. I was like, well, I'll die of hunger then. Oh yeah, well you have to come back. It's like, well, yeah, I think I'm done.
Yeah,
I
it's not
think
for
I'm
everyone.
out.
It's not for
Yeah,
everyone.
it's like, well, I'm gonna die because of some frozen food. Fair enough. Speaking of which, games, Jason, you must be all in on Diablo right now. Or at least got your toe in there.
Yeah, I've been putting some hours into it because it's an easy game to just boot up when I've got like a 30 minutes free and just do something quick. So I've been enjoying that. It's just a nostalgia hit, man.
Is it a decent?
Is it
reboot?
better than 3?
It's better than 3, I think, in terms of the story, which was pretty good. Some weird spots, but yeah, it's better than 3. But the end game is a little. I mean, like all Diablo games, like no matter how good they are, there comes a point where I'm just like,
Just grinding.
The end game is just like killing mobs to see if you can get a lucky roll on a new weapon or an armor upgrade. So like at a certain point, it's just going to be like, okay, I've done this enough. Like my character, I think is up to like 65 right now. I've mostly just been doing it alone. A couple games with Fifi, a couple games with Scrawny. But you know,
Fifi, what's he up to these days?
Yeah, I played some CS2 with him the other day. We went and we started headshotting together.
I forgot he defected to North America.
Yeah, he's good, man. He's got his new gig. I don't know if it's been like announced or anything like that. He just did like 10 days in Korea as well, so he's fresh off of vacation. But yeah, we just hopped in and played some Diablo and switched over to CS. Got Sue in a couple games of CS.
Damn.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're putting together.
It's all exciting.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna put together a nice North American pug crew to take on the Europeans that you guys have going on.
I think for me, what you said about Diablo is like, well, I've finished the game, like I finished the first run, you know, so now it's just the same story again. I understand it's like more difficult and different items and everything, but it's the same quests.
Yeah. So you don't really like replay. Yeah, I mean they have the side quests and everything. You don't really replay the campaign. You just get into like the hardcore kind of leveling strategies.
To go like and grab. I guess it's just not for me then. Like, you know, I understand there's a large audience who find the appealing, but I love the story and like all that stuff.
The cinematics are cool.
When I was like running out of games to play during COVID, I guess I got like Diablo 2 came out like remastered or whatever, so I played that, and then I played 3. So I guess now it makes sense to play.
I enjoyed 3 more than the average guy, but yeah, it's just like any other Diablo game. You get to a point where you're like, wow, I've grinded through these dungeons plenty for a while. I'll just turn this bad boy off now.
But the problem is, like, when these games come out, like, it depends on the people that you're around, right? Like, I remember when Diablo 3 came out, I was around a lot of people who were like, yeah, fuck yeah. And then, like, we spent 2 days grinding it and then, completed the first thing. And I was like, well, I'm not doing that again. Like, we just fucking did it. Why do I need to do it again? I've done it once, right? And then I don't think I ever played it again. Like, for me, having the chibi-weeby collectibles and the fucking sapphire stones in my sword, I don't really give a fuck. Like, I don't play a lot of top-down games. Most of the stuff I like playing is FPS.
Sure.
What was that game, Henry, we were playing? It was fucking awesome. It was like Overwatch. It was the Gundam game.
Oh yeah, it's just called. It's by Namco Bandai. It's just called Gundam
Evolution.
Offensive or some shit. Gundam Evolution. That was it. It was just an Overwatch clone, but it was pretty good. It was just being massive Gundam robots. It's just like
everyone loves robots.
Fucking awesome. Yeah, it died out though. It's like every one of those games. Like it's like the flavor of the month. That was like flavor of the week, and then the player base went from like 2,000 to like 200, and then it's dead.
We're playing Battle Bit Remastered at the moment. We got Trace onto that the other evening.
That's a banger, to be fair.
That's a great
I
game.
think everyone's playing that. Like the fact it's like what, a 3-man dev team, and they've created this like potential game of the year. Like it's pretty remarkable.
I've seen some clips. It looks cool as hell.
It's really fun. Like it's got good mechanics for shooting and stuff, but it also like the game, like the look. People go, "Oh, it's Minecraft." Well, you play it and it's a good FPS game, right? Like the shooting feels satisfying. Getting kills.
The mechanics
cool.
are like just as good, if not better, than like Call of Duty. So yeah,
it looks like an old school shooter in that sense, in terms of like the movement and the shooting and like your ability to
it's like
jump around.
it's like a hybrid between COD and Battlefield 1944, I would say.
Okay. You can res your opponents. You can heal them. You can there's tanks, there's helicopters, but there's all different game modes. There's a whole bunch of different like weapon selections and everything like that. But it's just a good bit of fun with like a larger group. Like when we're on here on TeamSpeak and we have like fucking 8, 10, 12 people on here. It's good because everyone can just fucking jump in and play that. And Counter-Strike, it's a bit more of a limiting factor. All right, gentlemen. Do we have much more we want on this week's agenda?
I think this was a really solid episode.
Yeah, it was a banger. I think it was good. Thanks for having me.
Disappointed about your entry into the show, Henry? Like Jason pointed out.
I think next time we can work on it. I think for this Friday for the video show, we can come up with something else, a bit more of a grandiose entrance, perhaps.
We'll have a better
WWE,
a better looking layout for sure. I'm thinking about turning the couch around, using the TV as the backdrop.
That's not a bad idea, actually.
We get the coffee table, get your mic arm, my mic arm going, get a couple webcams, sit Alex down. And
all right. Okay, well, that's something. We can make up for that.
We might need some fun and games. Do you guys have any suggestions for what we should do on that episode?
I could prepare a little quiz for you two, to be fair.
A quiz would be nice.
We could do a quiz between the two of you based around our kind of tournament experience, perhaps. We could do something like what was the first event Jason was pied at, for example?
Sure.
Oh,
Okay.
I'll
Yeah.
craft something like that.
Huge.
Yeah, some good history.
And if you
Jason,
paid attention
anything-
during this episode, Chad, you'll know the answer.
Exactly.
That's the
Yeah,
key.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, is there anything, Jason, that you would like us discussing?
No, let's wait and see what roster changes come out. Let's see what pops off. But I think I could think at this. Maybe you could ask Alex a little bit more, get the firsthand experience of the waxing, since we touched on that so much.
We
in
could
this
revisit the waxing.
Find
It's
the
definitely
video.
something
We can
that
put
do.
on the screen behind us.
Get
Yeah.
Alex's opinion on the on the more painful location to have waxed.
I didn't.
Yes.
I didn't check. I should check, but because the video episode will be on Spotify, we might be able to play certain music. So that's something that I want to get. So I'm sure we could play the video.
Oh, you could
That
get
wouldn't be a
DJ
problem.
Henry. You could bring the after party Henry into the DJ booth.
Oh, wow. It's been a while.
It hasn't
Jason,
been
but
seen since DreamHack Malmo.
Yeah, that was a wild one. I definitely should. That's the business I should be doing. I just putting on the after parties for these events because they always completely.
That's
suck.
what they
don't do them
hire.
anymore.
Well, there's no more after parties.
There's no more. So yeah, it was a nice idea. I should have done it a few years ago.
Don't really do them anymore. They're kind of being cancelled.
You could
All
bring
right.
him back.
Yanko, you got anything?
Nope.
No. All right.
I'm looking forward to the video episode. I know Jason doesn't watch them, but I watch the ones that I'm
you
not
think you'll
on.
watch
There's just
it?
a lot of random strays going around right now.
Well, someone's got to get taken down, Jason, and why not you? Tell me why.
Well, you're available. Yanko's available. Henry's available. Let's spread it out. You can all experience.
I've received my fair share of bullying in this industry, Jason.
Okay.
At your hands
We'll
as well.
give you,
Jason.
it was all me.
Yeah,
We should
remember
end the show.
Dubai, asshole?
Oh.
Yeah,
I
we're
didn't think you'd
we're
bring that
we're
up.
still hanging on to that. Yep.
Yes,
that's a
of
good
course, forever.
All right. Well, we'll let these two gentlemen settle the dispute off air. That's it. Goodbye.
Don't his kids.